Hey, everybody. Tonight, we've got a guest with us, Jake Sloan. Some of you guys know him from Alaska. He does a lot of similar type content to me, and I thought he'd be an awesome person to sit down and talk about the Skydio as well as other cameras that we use to film the kind of content that we do. So welcome to everybody in the chat, and I'm going to put Jake on the screen and let him say hi to everybody real quick. And if you don't know him, I'm going to put a link to his channel in the chat as well.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. It's gonna be a fun night. I think get to chat about the Skydio, and then it's cool because Sean and I do a lot of really similar stuff as far as going to really crazy places up in the mountains and trying not to die while exploring places and filming ourselves doing it, which is always great for YouTube content. I assume the closer one of us comes to dying, the more views we'll get on that particular video someday, right?
Right. Let's hope we don't actually die. But if we do, I've always hoped that my girlfriend can figure out how to take the video and throw it up and put it on the channel. You know, I'm like, hey.
I have so many takes, and I put them in sometimes, but I have so many takes of a video where I'm like, you know, if you find this camera laying in the woods, would you just please get this card to my family so they can post it on YouTube?
That's awesome. You know, it's funny you say that. I recently was going to make a cool little edited video and slightly just edit one little bit of which camera it was on, changed, and then put that on every single one of the SD cards. So like if someone finds it, if there's a short 30-second clip, hi, my name's Sean, my phone number is this. If you find this, please at least send me this card to my house. If you want to steal my camera like a douchebag, go ahead, but please mail me this card.
Yeah. No, and I've done that on a couple. I don't think I've done it recently, but I know a few people put text files on there with their name, address, and phone number, and just says, so if anybody opens the card, they see the text file right there, and just says, hey, this is my card, this is my name, my address, my phone number. You know, I'd be appreciative if you return it to me. In fact, somebody last year contacted me because they found a Mavic Pro buried up in a glacier that I go to regularly. Yeah. And they thought it was mine. I said, no. I said, did you check the card? And they checked the card. Sure enough, it had a text file on it of whoever's drone it was.
And that's so much easier than me spending the time to make a different video for every single card I have. I don't know.
The problem is if you ever format your card, then you've got to be like, oh crap, I got to put that text file back on, which I format my cards all the time. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
You know, I almost never reformat my cards.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe that was my problem with GoPros, is I was reformatting them too much or something.
I've been using probably the card in this GoPro 8. It was the same one that was probably in my GoPro 4. You know?
And like you just delete the files off and
delete the files and keep going, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll give that a shot and see what happens.
This is my favorite camera. I'm talking out of everything I own. This has become my favorite camera, and I've got some cool footage I've been compiling today that hopefully, as I learn this StreamYard program just a little bit better, I'll be able to share some of this in a little better way than what we did last night.
Seeing some of your videos with that camera, that I think it's piqued my interest. And it's all the, like, I've got other 360 cameras and stuff, but the one thing GoPro has that nobody else has been able to match yet is their image quality. They still have the best image quality of action camera stuff.
It blows my mind that from the 8 to the Max, how much better the Max color profile is than the 8. And the 8 is really nice. It really is. The thing that I hate about that, well, I think I figured out what was happening because my 7 had the issue also. And I'd be out on a cold day snowboarding, and I'd be talking, I'd be doing something. A great example is I went out and I hit this jump in the middle of these trees. Didn't even know the jump was there. It was basically a drop off that I was like, oh crap, I either need to charge it or I'm about to die. So I chose to charge it and then stop afterwards before I hit the trees in front of me. And I go back to watch the video. I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. I was filming it and everything. And I get home, and seconds before I hit the drop, the picture freezes, and then you just hear me go, oh my God, and I'm freaking out, and the footage it's useless. It's totally useless. But I found out why I was doing that, because it happened in my 8 also. So I thought it was a 7 issue, and then my 8 started freezing on cold days just like that. And then I realized I have aftermarket batteries.
Oh.
So I did a test. I haven't edited the footage yet. I film so many videos that sometimes videos will just sit there forever before I get to editing them. And I did a test where I put the 7 and the 8, and I had the real battery in the 7 and the aftermarket one in the 8, and then I flip-flopped them. And the same thing happened in the camera, only when the aftermarket battery was in it.
See, so my buddy had a GoPro 7, and he was having it freeze up all the time. But he was using all GoPro stuff, no aftermarket stuff. But the only thing we could figure out is, I know they were pushing the processor on the 7 to the max, and he had it mounted on his wingtip, which is vibrating like this constantly. Yeah. So the only thing we figured out that we thought was probably going on was that there was so much correction trying to go on from the vibration that the processor would just overload and freeze up all the time, because that's basically what happened.
What kind of freeze did you have? Did your audio freeze as well, or just your video?
Everything. The camera would just be frozen, and you'd have to pull the battery to reset it all and get it started again. And so,
no, I've had issues even with the 8 where I have to open it up, pop the battery out, and put it in because nothing's happening on the screen.
Right.
And that's a real pain in the ass when it's cold out and you have gloves on and you got to pop the gloves out. I'm not sure why GoPro seems to have that happen, but I still like GoPro for action stuff more than I like the Osmo Action. I like the Osmo Action. The build quality, when it first came out, I didn't like it, like at all. But they've done enough updates to it that it's grown on me. Nice.
Somebody's at Coast to Coast Drones asked me, "What's on my shirt?" Coast to Coast. This is my favorite movie. Is The Empire Strikes Back.
That's as well as it should be.
So
we'll get into this later, but I've been wanting to join the 501st forever.
Oh, dude, I know people in Colorado. I have a few really good friends down there.
Okay, well, maybe when the time comes, we can do that. I'm gonna quickly go through the chat real quick and see who's in here. Tim Jackson's back. Coast to Coast is here. That would be Bill. Let's see who else. Art's with us. Do you see how I can make their comments pop up, Jake? Can you see?
That's really sweet.
And a night talking about Skydio. We got all things Skydio with us. That's a good night for you to be here because we're going to be talking a lot about the Skydio. Let's see who else is here that is chatting away. Drone Shots is with us. Hey, John is here again. I guess I got started before you fell asleep, John. That's awesome. Everyone's saying, well, they're not complaining, but they're saying they're calling my show the Late Show because I start at 9 o'clock. I guess most of the guys that watch me go to sleep much earlier. But then we got Michigan Adventures, and let's see.
Cardoso Media.
Bill's saying, you got my name right. Yeah. Sorry, man. Your usernames, when your username is not your name, I'm going to get it wrong at least once. It happens. All right. And we got Cardoso Media. And yeah, that's who's talked in the chat so far. So welcome, everybody. If you do not know Jake, I will again put a link right now to his channel. And he has some gorgeous, gorgeous content living up in Alaska. How could you not, right? I mean, I've never been to Alaska, Jake. I don't know if it's similar to here, but people always ask me how I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt when there's snow on everything. And there's days when I can go outside in shorts and a short sleeve shirt on, and it's probably 35 degrees. And it's so hot because it's so dry and so high in elevation that the sun rays here at 99,000 feet are so much stronger than at sea level. So you're actually so much warmer than what you would be at that same temperature somewhere that's a little more humid and a little lower in elevation. How is it in Alaska?
So we definitely get lots of really cold weather. And in the winter, our daylight hours are super short. So when I was going out to shoot my Skydio videos, it was run out. I'd have maybe 35, 40 minutes once I got somewhere to shoot stuff. And then the sun would be gone because usually it's blocked by mountains and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is people don't realize that, Alaska doesn't get super hot. We get maybe in the 80s on the hottest days in the summer, maybe, but it doesn't cool down either because the sun doesn't really go down. And then even in the, in the spring, right about now, when you're going out and hiking and stuff, people it's, 45 degrees or something like that. But when you're walking on snow and you've got the sun coming down on you, coming at you, because it's pretty sideways still, it's still pretty low on the horizon. And then it's also bouncing off the snow and hitting you. it's hot, and you
Yeah.
you get sunburned in a matter of minutes because you get so much sun rays bouncing on you. It's probably the same for you, where you just like,
Oh,
you
definitely.
get fried and you're sweating like crazy, and you're thinking, this is stupid. It's only 45 degrees or 50 degrees, but it feels like it's 100 because you're just.
Yeah. It's funny because coming from Houston, Texas, it's a really humid state. And normally when a cold front rolls in, it's with crappy weather, it's rainy, and it's just overcast and nasty when a cold front rolls in, and then it goes away. But when it's 30 something degrees in Houston, it is bone chilling cold. When it's 37 degrees here and the sun's out, I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's that warm, and you got to wear sunblock like crazy.
It's pretty dry where you are, right?
Oh yeah.
So like here in the winter, it gets really dry, especially when it gets below zero. The moisture is just, it all falls out of the sky. But there's been so many times where I was up here, 40 below zero, just frigid cold winter. And I go down to Seattle where it's like 50, but it's wet and raining. Yeah. And I would freeze because it's that humid moisture. It goes right. You can't warm up. It's so cold.
And then people probably like, you live in Alaska. Why are you cold?
Yeah, exactly. It was a big deal. It was like, 90 degrees colder where you were than it is here. It's like, yeah, but it's wet here. It gets through you.
And here I can go in the shade and instantly, if it's a warm day, and I'm instantly 20 degrees colder.
Yeah.
Back in Texas and Houston, whenever I would go in the shade or in the garage at midnight, you're still drenched in sweat. It's humid, and it just pierces you, and it sucks. So hot.
Oh yeah. Coast to coast drones. Seattle is where most of my extended family lives, and that's where I was born. So I go there pretty often.
I've only been to Seattle once to do a guest spot tattooing at an old friend of mine's studio.
Nice. It's a cool city. It's really, it's a beautiful area too, but yeah.
It's been probably 15 plus years since I've been there, probably closer to 20.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah, it does. It does. I was just looking at some stuff today from what seemed like it was a few years ago, but it was actually more like 20, 25 years ago. And I was like, was it really that long?
Man. Yeah.
So let's see. We both own the Skydio. I think mine's back here. Let me grab it.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay. I'm going to grab mine.
All right. You go right ahead. Anybody in the chat own the Skydio yet? Or are you just interested? I know Bill. I think, Bill, you own it, don't you? Anybody else in the chat? I assume that the Skydio, all things Skydio, you should own the Skydio, right? All right, let's see. So Skydio, they have 3 ways to fly it. One is with your phone, one is with a beacon, and one is with a controller, which I left it at home, so I can't show you that.
Here.
Okay. So the controller. Let's talk about the controller for a minute.
Yeah.
I personally think it feels like a cheap toy. Now, that doesn't mean I don't enjoy flying it with that controller, but the controller itself, the plastic, the way the hinges work, the way the springs on thumbsticks work, it just feels like a toy grade drone to me. Especially the sliders in the back for angling your gimbal and all that. It just doesn't feel quite as quality as some other products. We won't mention names, but I'm sure some of you guys know who they are. What do you think, Jake?
I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I think, because I try to put my finger on it. It's the other products that I own. They're made out of similar materials, although they feel heavier than this does. But I think part of it is like it feels like a toy because it's kind of everything's shaped like a balloon. I don't understand why.
That's a great way to describe it.
It's all just kind of round and plastic, and it just feels really lightweight. I think they would have done better and I'm sure they did it for cost savings or something. But if they had designed their own controller and just made it, like a small version of a Xbox 360 controller or something like that. With
the Xbox 360 controller actually feels built a higher quality to me.
It does.
This one.
But,
yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be. The paddles, those are funky feeling.
They're funky feeling. Although I've found that once I got used to them, I could get a tighter level of control with them. But it was definitely like it took me a while to figure out, to get used to reaching for a paddle as opposed to like the dial.
So years ago, I had a drone that used, instead of a slider like how DJI's is, it was still a slider, but it wasn't on a spring, so it didn't come back. It was just on a slider with a little tab that stuck out, and you'd slide it to the position you wanted. And it had a nice resistance to it, and no one's made one since, and I don't know why. It was probably to this day still the best slider I've used, and I'll bet you John in the chat could probably name the drone that I'm talking about, because I know he used to own one. I talked about that drone a lot yesterday, so I'm trying not to bring it up today.
I'll think Skydio says it feels cheap. Yeah, you're right. I'll think Skydio. It does feel cheap. And that's the thing, I think, because the drone itself does not feel cheap. The drone itself feels like a really well engineered precision machine, but the controller just doesn't match it at all.
The weight to it and the crispness of the plastic and the edges and everything about the drone itself and the quality of the build is high end.
Yeah,
man. So it was really weird to pull the controller out and it not even be like middle grade end, you know. Now that doesn't mean at all that it's not fun to fly with the controller, because in my opinion, Jake and I have talked about this before, flying with the controller is a mind-blowing fun experience. The first time I broke it out and I actually went out in the trees, and you might have saw that video where I'm going backwards through the trees, I was giggling like a little kid. I hadn't had that much flying drones since I started in this hobby 6+ years ago. It was a blast.
Yeah, and that was the thing. You know, I mean, I think obviously if they got something that was a more stable connection besides the Wi-Fi, or I don't know. I mean, even if they just designed their own controller with a better antenna system.
Yeah,
because I feel like my Mavic Air definitely got better range than the Skydio does, and it was a Wi-Fi drone.
I went out today with my Mavic Air, and I was working on a new video, and it did so well today. Like I was 3,000 feet. To me, if you're over 2,000 feet with no signal breakup, it's far enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome if you can go further, but there's very rarely a time that it's needed. There are times living in the mountains that I'm down low and I'm trying to get really up high to the top. So it can be useful in those situations, but most of the time, a few thousand feet is with a solid signal is pretty awesome. I don't know how much the Skydio weighs. Is that what you were just doing, weighing it?
It's 1 pound, 11.5 ounces with the battery on it.
There you go, Tim. That's pretty convenient. You had a scale right there. I'm not even going to ask what you're doing with that scale, what you're chopping up and putting on it.
I don't even know why I have the scale on here. I used it once. I did a gimbal comparison. I weighed the gimbal comparison, and then I ended up like I was shipping a crap ton of packages for a while, just little packages. So I was always weighing packages, and you need to get it pretty precise for the postal service, and yeah. So it's like, yeah, I need to go get a scale. Anyway.
Yeah, no worries. So let's see. We talked a little about the controller. Another thing that I think is pretty cool. It's gimmicky, but it's cool. Yet I'm on the fence on it because if you crash, they can still fall off, which is the magnetic batteries. I love it. It is gimmicky, but I love the hell out of it. There's something so satisfying about just doing that. It holds.
Well, okay.
Kind of pop off probably.
So the other thing that, I mean, yeah, if it crashes, it's going to pop off, and that sucks because you lose the last few seconds of footage.
Yeah.
Which it's at least it doesn't corrupt the entire file. You get most of it. But the other thing that I love about the magnetic thing is, one, I've never gotten a compass error because it's all based off GPS.
Very true.
Which I got a lot with my other drones, just because sometimes I'm flying around really iron-rich deposits or something like that. I don't know exactly. But then the other thing that I love about this is when you're wearing gloves, and I know you can relate to this, Sean, is you don't have to try and find and push little buttons through your thick mountain gloves. You can just grab the battery and pull it off or put it on.
That's a good point. I haven't had it through many cold days because I didn't get it on the first batch. My particular one still hasn't even gotten an email saying, hey, your drone's ready.
Wait,
so I have it because another person I know, Steve Carpenter, who's in the drone community, decided that he'd rather see me using it to snowboard and do all this stuff in the middle of winter prior to everything melting off and being like, oh, what am I going to do with it now?
Right.
And so he traded with me orders.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was incredibly cool. I don't know where Steve is. He knew we were going live. I thought he was going to jump in tonight. Hey, there's my buddy AJ in the chat. Missed the beginning here now. You didn't miss a lot, AJ. We're just talking about this drone, the Skydio, which has got some incredible technology. You being an old engineer, you would probably love the technology in this drone.
Hey, Agent K.
Agent K is back. My favorite people. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you, Agent K.
Like this. Let me see here. I got to filter through my footage.
Yeah, I'm going to text Steve and see if he's joining us real quick while you're going through your footage. You have something you want to share real quick?
Well, yes, as soon as I can find it. Where did that? I had it all up, and then okay, I'll share this one if it's okay. Yeah. Let's see.
All right,
I should be able to see it. There we go. Okay, so this is footage I shot last winter, showing like the difference between the HDR and the non-HDR.
Really, on the Skydio?
Yeah, you see that?
That's impressive.
The difference there?
Wow, that's a much better HDR than my Insta360 has. I'm going to assume that the left is the HDR.
Yeah, when I got it at first, I turned HDR off because I kind of assumed it was going to be a gimmick, or just not that great. And then when I tried it out in this location, because that mountain's covered in snow and full sun, and then and obviously like the non-HDR, you can't even see the mountain. But with the HDR, when I turned it on, I was like, holy crap. And the same thing here. When I tried this non-HDR, you couldn't see that mountain back there at all. It was just totally blown out because I was trying to make sure you could see me down in the on the beach there. And
you don't look cartoony. Like are you familiar with the Insta360
Yeah.
So that has HDR on it. And every time I've used it in the snow, I actually have a video. I could share mine in a little bit if I can find it with the HDR on. And it almost looks like a cartoon.
Yeah, and the times I played with HDR before this, I was just like, that was my struggle. I felt like it lost all of the resolution and it made it look terrible and crappy. But this, whatever Skydio is doing with their HDR is really fantastic.
Yeah, let me see if I can dig up. I don't know if I edited that one, but we will see real quick if I can find the one with the HDR on it. Here, okay, I can fast forward this. Let me pull this up. I'll turn the music off on it. All right, let me share the screen. That's the thing, is like the difference between this is if you don't already have them all pulled up in tabs, then it takes a second to get everything going. Where with like OBS, it's sort of so this is, and that's not HDR here. That's regular. This is HDR. I know it's in blurred, but right there. Let me pause it on a shot.
Whoa.
So do you notice how that's? I mean, it's HDR. It's a snowy day, so you're not going to see through that no matter what.
Right.
However, it has a cartoonish kind of look to it.
Yeah, it kind of puts it in the surreal, like it's just off. It doesn't feel like that's interesting.
Yeah. But this is a cool feature. Let me rewind. This is the Insta360 1X. And the cool thing about this camera is you'll notice you can't see me holding the stick. The stick doesn't show. That's one of the cool things with the 360 cameras is they sort of give you this look like you have a cameraman following you around. But let me. It's a short clip. It's 30 seconds. I'll let you check it out real quick. So, you see if I can turn the sound down. There we go.
Oh, I forgot.
That now. So this is all edited in the app. This is not me using Final Cut or anything like that. All those effects with the motion blur, completely done with the Insta360 One app.
Wow. I'm gonna try and connect to my Skydio real quick because Coast to Coast is asking a question. I'm pretty sure it has to be in H265 to do HDR and 4K, but I can't remember, so I'm gonna check.
I got to say though, I like the Skydio's HDR a lot more, as well as my phone's HDR is always better than these 360 cameras. I don't think the GoPro Max has HDR, but I have never been in a situation yet where I was like, damn, I wish I had HDR with that camera. So,
yeah, the GoPro, I don't know, the way they process their image, it seems like they've come up with a good way to deal with the highlights and the shadows, just however they do it.
and, the rumor is, some people have said they confirmed it, but I don't know the guy personally. But the rumor is that somebody that used to work at GoPro works with Skydio, and that's how come the color profile is similar to, say,
Yeah.
maybe like the GoPro 5 or 6 or 7. It's not quite the same color profile as the 8 or the Max, but it is like a little bit of an older GoPro look.
So coast to coast drones, you can use 4K HDR in H.264 or H.265, either one. But you can't do HDR in 24 frames per second. It has to be 30 frames per second or higher to do HDR.
And he's now asking if MP4 is 10-bit.
No, it's 8-bit on the Skydio. The only drone that's consumer size like this that has 10-bit that I know of right now is the Mavic 2 Pro. Although the Evo might have it now.
Does the Zoom have it too, or is it just the Pro? I thought that the Zoom might have it too, but I can't remember, to be honest.
I think it was just the Pro because it has the Hasselblad.
That could be it, yeah.
Branding, but
it's interesting. While we're speaking about that drone, those two drones, real quick. I don't know if you bought one of those, but I am actually so glad that I didn't go with the Pro and I went with the Zoom, especially because of where I live. There are so many times that I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get over to that mountain because it's so far away. It looks close, but they're so massive, they're really not close. So I can zoom in and it feels like I'm there. And I do the same thing with my phone. I'll zoom in all the time with my phone, even though I have this Galaxy, and it tries to suggest me using the widest field to take scenic shots.
Right.
The closest zoom on this thing I can to, and it makes the mountain not look so minuscule. Because photographing a mountain, if you use just like a regular angled lens, it's just a dot on the screen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you've probably done this too, because I've done this a few times where I'm like, oh, that is so cool. I'm going to fly my drone over and, get a close up. And you start flying and, you're flying at just full forward. So you go 40 miles an hour and it looks like nothing is moving. It's just like you're looking at a static picture and you're flying forward as fast as you can go for like 5 or 10 minutes.
It's funny you say that because I went out today to film a video with the Mavic Air original and talking about the Mavic Air 2, if it's worth an upgrade for someone who's watching the video. And I actually mentioned that. I talk about and it doesn't have to just be in the mountains, anywhere you're at. When you're at 300 feet, close to 400 feet up, and you're just flying straight without any kind of yaw or any kind of anything going on, it just looks like your drone standing still. Unless there's a lot of buildings or things passing you, there's nothing. It's boring footage.
Speaking of boring footage.
Oh, you got some boring footage for us.
I'm going to have to pull it, though, because it's not... actually, maybe I can get to it without. This is the one time that I thought it was going to flop, and I was super excited with how it turned out. Was let's see if I can find it here. I think it's this one. Yes, it's that one. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can share this.
All right.
All right. So, the hyperlapse?
Yes.
I had never tried the hyperlapse until late last year. And then I was out there at this glacier and I was like, oh, a hyperlapse, because I had some extra battery life. So
which drone are you using here? Is this
the Mavic 2 Pro?
Okay.
And that was like 30 minutes of
flying.
I just sent it out and I was like, go out until the battery's point critical and you got to get back. Yeah. So, but I was like, that was 30 minutes of flying forward at, I think I said it at 10 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour. So, I mean, it's moving pretty fast, but not quite 30 minutes. It's 20 minutes exactly.
As close as our surrounding areas sort of look, I just don't get those glaciers like you do. I guess it just doesn't get cold enough. or it doesn't stay cold enough long enough. Maybe, I don't know why we don't get them the same way you do. We get them at the very tip top, where we'll get like stuff that stays all winter at the very tip top of some mountains. But down at our lakes and stuff, it's just ice. It just becomes ice. We don't get those big, massive moved glaciers like you do.
So I think it's partly probably the coldness factor. It obviously has to stay cold pretty much year round wherever the glacier is, mostly at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of it is the amount of snowfall. And so most of our glaciers here, like they're in areas where they'll get anywhere from 30 to 90 feet of snowfall at the top of where the glacier is.
Yeah.
Every single winter. And that's what compresses down year after year and then creates the glacier ice and stuff.
I just like the way they look when you're going to the ones right by the lakes and stuff, and the lakes are frosted, but the glacier's still there. It's such a sick look with all the reflective surfaces.
It's so, and I keep thinking one of these days I'm going to get tired of it, but they're always changing. So it's always something new. Even if I'm going to the same spot, like something has changed pretty dramatically since I was there the last time. And so it's always fun to go and see, or try and find different ice caves in the glaciers that are safe ish to get
there
in.
You go. That's where I was about to ask. Have you ever heard the story of, because the glaciers crack and a whole chunk will break off. Have you ever heard of someone being in one of the ice caves and one of them just crashed down all around them?
Not in a true glacier ice cave. Although it certainly could happen if you don't know what you're doing. It's kind of like mountaineering. Like you need to know enough to kind of be able to tell if it's a safe spot to enter or not. But there have been a few people that died in snow caves, because a snow cave is it's maybe packed snow from an avalanche or something, but it's not nearly as stable as ice that's been compressed to insanely dense levels. So a couple of years ago, there was a lady who she thought she was in a glacier ice cave, and she was back in a snow cave, and it collapsed on her, and they tried to get her out and dig her out, but it didn't. It's the same thing as like if you got caught in an avalanche. I mean, you're just if you can't get out fast enough.
Because not this year. I think it was last year. I built this giant igloo in the backyard. It was probably a two bedroom igloo I basically made. And during that process, it's not growing up in snow. This is something new I'm learning, is that once you're in that snow, it's the best soundproofing material ever. We sent our little girl in there and had her scream at the top of her lungs, and we walked 5 feet outside of it, couldn't hear her.
Yeah.
So at that moment we were like, you can never play in a snow fort unless we are outside with you, because kids die, that collapses on you, you're dead.
You would never know until way past the time when it was, safe. So speaking of, so I do a ton of work around glaciers, which I love, but I know where it's safe to go, relatively safe, where it's not safe to go. Like I don't go into the ice caves if it's during the summer, because they're usually pretty unstable and melting. But I was here, and the other place you don't want to go next to is the active face where the pieces are falling off. Because I guess for anybody who doesn't know in a chat, a glacier is a literal river of ice that is flowing downhill just extremely slowly. So when you see big pieces falling off, it's not necessarily that the glacier is melting and receding. It's that the glacier has been pushing that ice down that mountainside, and then it gets to the point where it breaks off in the water or whatever. So you don't want to go right next to the active face, because those pieces can be hundreds of feet tall and they can come down with, maybe a couple of seconds of warning. But this one spot, I'm going to show you this video. I was here 45 minutes before this happened. And I had been watching this piece of ice for weeks, hoping that I could watch it come down. And I missed it by 45 minutes. I was so mad that this guy filmed it out there. I was like, what the heck, man?
And they make a really cool sound when they split too.
Oh yeah. So I'll share this. I think I'm sharing my screen now and see if you can.
Here, let me real quick. Let me just get caught up on the chat.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll share that one if that's cool. Psycho Steel says, "Hey Sean and Jake, I know that it's not in the same class, but what do you think about the Mavic Mini? Is it worth it, or sell my shotgun and get a Skydio?" Well, they are completely different types of drones. I would say the Mavic Mini is a very capable drone for the price. I think it's $399 that it starts around. With the Fly More, I think it's about $500 for the extra batteries. If you're going to get something like that and you want to manually fly it mostly, that's great, because the Mavic Mini doesn't have any kind of tracking abilities at this time and probably won't ever. If you need something that you're going to track, maybe you're going to go out on a paddleboard, because I know you do that, or something like that. Or if you're ashore and you want to track somebody else on a paddleboard, then you're going to want something like the Skydio or a higher grade Mavic Air 2 or something along those lines, which is $799 or $999 for this. However, once you buy this and you start putting the beacon and the controller with it, you're now looking at closer to $1,500 if you get an extra battery and all that. So you're going from $399 to $1,500. You got to decide what's better for you. You agree with that, Jake, or you got some more to throw on that?
Yeah, totally. I think if all you want to do is get little drone shots here and there, you know, but you don't mind controlling it and stuff, the Mavic Mini is actually a really great drone. Everything I've seen from it's pretty impressive from such a little package.
Yeah, and it's small. It's so much smaller than it looks in videos.
Yeah, it's tiny. I think if you're wanting to do something more, then you probably should wait till the Mavic Air 2 comes out, because that'll be a little higher price point, not quite as high as the Skydio or the Mavic 2 series, but it'll probably have a lot more of those like tracking features and some of the other smart features, obstacle avoidance and stuff that the Mini doesn't have.
Yep. Michigan Adventures is asking you, Jake, what part of Alaska you live in?
So I live in South Central. I live in Anchorage, which is basically right in where you see Alaska come up and kind of hook over. It's right up there. And then, but I travel quite a bit and get around.
Yeah, when all this is said and done, we need to, I know we've talked a little bit about going to some of these conventions, maybe that one Vid Summit or something like that. We talked a little about this year. I don't even know if I'm going to go because of all this. You know, I might wait another year and maybe go then. But once everything settles down, sooner or later, we need to make some plans to, flip flop where we're going and get together and make some videos.
Yeah, for sure. Come on, you need to come here so I can keep up with you physically. Because if I go down there, I'll be like just wheezing and and wishing I was dead.
I might. I mean, if you're climbing from sea level to 5,000, that's a hell of a hike. I don't hike that many miles. I might hike 8 hours a day, and that's up and down. So,
right, yeah. I don't know. I think it'd be relative. I don't think I could handle the altitude, man. I think I would just peel over and die. So,
are there any ski resorts there for snowboarding?
There's one. Actually, there's one just south of here, and it's pretty good. It got 56 feet of snow this year.
Okay,
which was great. But it's called Alyeska.
Even more, because then I could take a second day to go just snowboard all day.
Right. So it's Alyeska Ski Resort, and it's a good ski resort. It's nothing compared to what you would have access to size-wise, but they do have some nice runs and stuff. But the other thing that people do up here, it's a little expensive, but it's if you can do one, it's worth it, is helicopter. They'll take you out, drop you off somewhere, and then you ski down the mountainside.
I've got a buddy that's done that. It is definitely expensive. I think it was like $1,200 or $1,500. It was pricey.
Yeah, it's pricey, and it's one of those things. It's like, if it's a bucket list item for you, unless you have lots of money, then you do it once and just enjoy the heck out of it when you do it. But
we were lucky enough to do the Ski Cat backcountry stuff, and that was pretty awesome. I think it was last year. So I think I just found your resort there. This is not the perfect map, but I'm looking at it right now. And yeah, it's definitely smaller, but it still looks like it's fun. The views are incredible.
Good runs and beautiful scenery.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. And it looks like it's really close to a city. What city is that?
Girdwood.
How far is that from where you live?
About 30 minutes.
Look at me. I'm like, forget the drones. I want to talk about snowboard. You ski or snowboard?
It's about 30. I drive through Girdwood all the time. In fact, the one glacier that I kayak, or the lake that I kayak across, I drive past Girdwood every time to go down there. And in fact, if you want to, I could show you this glacier falling apart here. It's just past Girdwood.
Is this the one on this one here?
Yeah. So this is like literally, I was here 45 minutes before this happened. I was so mad.
This is the other guy's footage?
Yeah. So look at the lake ice. That's 5 feet thick. All that lake ice there that you see.
Oh, there it goes. Are you standing on the lake right now, or he
No,
was?
that's a little area that's beach right there.
Right, so he was safe.
So yeah, he was totally safe. But look at how much that lake. I mean, that's 5 feet thick, and that lake ice is moving like.
Are those people running away from it?
Uh-huh. So, and just so you know, like that tip there is just about 180 feet high.
Oh, really? Wow.
I've flown my drone up. I wanted to find out how high it was, so I took my drone up from the lake and flew up to the top, and it's about just a little under 180 feet.
I love how when they break off, how turquoise and bright that blue looks underneath in the middle of the snow.
Oh man. And the crazy thing is, like, if you go out there on a sunny day, it's really cool. But if you go out there on a cloudy day, the blue of the glacier becomes super vibrant because the clouds absorb all the yellow light from the sun. And the only light that comes through is the blues and greens. And so all the blue ice from the glacier looks just super, super vibrant. People think they want to go out. I mean, honestly, to go see a glacier like really colorful, really beautiful is to go see it when it's overcast, because the vibrant of the blues comes out massively.
Well, Steve Carpenter has joined the chat. Steve, we were just talking about you earlier and how kind you were to swap with me so that I could be doing these winter videos, because I definitely wouldn't have been doing any winter videos with my regular list of where I was at, because I've heard nothing from them yet. And with all this pandemic stuff, it's probably going to be a long time before I hear a notification on when I should have got it.
Man, this whole pandemic thing. What do you say? Coronavirus to get past the YouTube censorship there.
I just call it the Rona.
The Rona.
It was kind of case of the Rona.
It's the case of the Rona. Yeah, that's exactly.
All right, let me get us real quick in the chat, see if we get any questions for us. I get sidetracked and I completely forget to look at it.
I know, me too.
So what I tell people in the chat, if there's something that you typed and I didn't get to it and we're just blabbering away, type it again. And if we still don't get to it, type it again. Eventually I'll see it repeating and I'll be like, oh, that's a question. So that's how we handle that. Agent K says he didn't know that about glaciers. He's been taking in too much news.
So Agent K, the cool thing is, like, when you go out to that area there where you can stand on the lake ice and stuff. And if you're there and you're quiet and you wait long enough, you can feel the glacier push the lake ice back, and then you can hear the lake ice popping and breaking from the glacier pushing against it. So it's a kind of a surreal experience, and it sounds like a million pieces of glass being shattered and broken at the same time to hear the ice moving. But it's pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll have to definitely try to go out there. The problem is going to be that if I go out there to Alaska, my girlfriend, I don't know if she's in the room. Let me just chat real quick and see if her name pops up. Nope, she's not with us yet. She'll want to go too.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's very nice of you, Steve. Thank you very much. Yeah, everybody, no idea. We got 19 people in the chat, I think, at the moment. No clue how many people have hit thumbs up, but those who have, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Tim Jackson's talking about his Mavic Mini, which we talked about a minute ago, a very capable drone, especially for its price.
Yep.
Jonathan is digging my live stream setup. My friend Jonathan Buckhouse has his own snowboard channel. This guy creates a new video every single day, Jake.
Holy
every single day. And due to that, he started that, I guess it was last snowboard season. He went every day, and it just instantly started going up, like huge growth.
Wow.
Go ahead.
That's hardcore though, man. I did every day for like a month, way back. You won't find the videos on my channel because I got rid of them all, because it was back when I was terrible. And it's so hard to do every single day. It's so much work.
Yeah, but that's all he does now. He's full-time YouTube now.
That's awesome.
And I am putting a link to his channel in the chat right now. So if anyone likes snowboard content, definitely watch him. Even with the pandemic, the guy's been out in his buddy's backyard, which is like a mountainside. It's not a backyard like most people would think of. He's been chopping down old trees that they find, chopping them down, building natural hit terrain, and still snowboarding. So mad props to the guy. I miss being able to hang out with him and snowboard, but we're all social distancing, and that's just part of it. Although that might be able to change here soon, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Tim says you can always wear an oxygen mask when you come up here, or a tank.
That wouldn't look very cool on videos, though.
Depends on
like wheezing and pulling off an oxygen mask. Yeah, Sean, it's really cool. And slapping it back on so I can breathe. That'd be.
Psycho Steel says we need to do some drone editing mentorship courses. AJ, just go through my channel. I've got a bunch of those. I can. I'll find one. I'll post in the link. You can go watch it later. It's not a direct edit course, but I am working on more of them. I just did a video teaching with the GoPro 360 camera. That's sort of the same thing. Give me just a second, and I will pull that up.
So, going back to the Skydio, Sean.
Yes.
As you're pulling that up, the one thing I've noticed, and I think you and I've talked about it, is how it responds to control input is way different than any other drones I've ever flown, where like most drones that I've flown they respond to control input really fast, but it's like, it feels really mechanical and kind of jerky. Whereas at least for me with the Skydio, it feels way more organic and fluid feeling.
Oops. Yeah, I actually agree with you 100%. And it's weird because I've heard people say other things like the complete backwards.
Really?
But I personally feel like there's a learning curve to flying it with the regular controller. It's not like you push it straight and it goes straight. If you push it straight and there's a tree there, it sort of veers off a little bit. But if you understand how it flies and you're like yawing and strafing and going forwards and backwards, and you can grasp that a little bit of motion it does get around things, it opens up this crazy fluid movement that you can get with it that just is a bitch to get with a regular drone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There are things I've done with my regular drone that, I had 1% margin of error, and if I did anything wrong, the drone was a goner. In fact, I do have I have drones in the bottom of glaciers because I pushed it to that 1% and they went down. One of them, I'm hoping maybe I can find the parts from leftovers this summer. It should be like getting pushed out to the front by then.
Well, I can guarantee you that pretty much all the ski resorts around me have so many of my GoPro batteries, and I never get them back. I'm such an idiot. I have a zipper pocket here, and I'll have the GoPro and everything shoved in there, and I'll pull it out. I'll leave it open. I'll reach in to change a battery, and I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot to zip it. There's no batteries left in there, and 3 batteries have flown out somewhere all over the mountain. I buy new batteries every year because they just fly out everywhere.
Yeah, there are certain things like that you just you go through, I guess.
Yeah, Steve Carpenter says, wow, that's an awesome moment about your Glacier video there. Psycho Steel saying we would have help a lot of people if we had a mentorship course on drone flight and video editing. I've actually been wanting to crank down and share with the way I edit stuff, because I edit a little differently than other people. I don't know if you've seen, I got a new nature channel, Jake, that I've been working on. It's only got 4 videos so far. One of them is drone only stuff with some soft music. And by editing that, it was completely different than the way I normally edit my drone footage. Normally, I keep my drone footage anywhere from 6 to 15 seconds a clip, and it switches angles and all that, and it's sort of fast. But when I was editing for this nature channel, I was holding clips for a minute, 2 minutes long before it switched to anything else. And I don't fly in a way to get clips that long. So it means I'm going to have to completely change the way I fly to make these nature videos.
Yeah. I think probably the longest clips I get right now are maybe a minute at the most. But because most everything you end up with in a regular YouTube video, like it's 5 to 10 seconds, maybe a little longer, but it's pretty short. Where it's funny because you talk about doing a nature channel. One of the things I've been thinking about doing is doing a 15-minute videos of just a camera with this surround sound microphone I have that plugs into the camera, just sitting in some of these locations, I go, well, that's just all it is. It's just the sound of nature and everything that's around it. And I always thought it'd be pretty cool. And then you beat me to the punch. So,
oh, did you see some of the videos already?
I think I saw the first one you put up, and I haven't been back to see any more yet, but I need to.
Well, it just clicked. I live in this place. Nobody could get outside right now.
Yeah.
Why not share it? And what I've been doing is exactly that. I was setting up a camera and then just walking away and going to do something else. And luckily, I live in a spot with a pretty low crime rate. So I've actually left the camera, driven home, and be like, "Where's my camera at? Oh crap!" And turn around, hold back, and the camera's still just sitting there on a fence post with people walking back and forth by it, and no one's touched it.
So
that never happened back where I used to live.
That hyperlapse I showed you earlier, that was out along the face of the glacier, glacier. I had been time lapsing with my GoPro out there. Totally forgot the GoPro. My buddy and I flew in his small plane back, and then that night or something, I was like, crap, my GoPro's still out there. And then it's like in 3 days or something, it was supposed to start snowing real heavy. I'm like, that's it. That's going to be gone. And he flew out the next morning real early and grabbed it for me. But I was like,
that's great. This is the kind of stuff I'm doing. Just that. It's like an hour long.
See, stuff like that though. And the thing is, Sean, like so many people in the US don't ever have the opportunity to see that or hear that, because they live in a city or they live in a place that's just lots of people. And so they never get the chance to go sit next to a stream and not be disturbed by other stuff going on. And especially now, nobody can even really go out of their houses.
Yeah, it's interesting because you would look at that's probably about 5 or 6 inches of snow and ice above the water.
Yeah.
People who don't live in the snow, it's interesting because something like this, the snow on top is still sort of snowy, and underneath it becomes this hard packed ice. As the snow sort of melts from the sun, it goes down, and then at night it freezes on the bottom.
Yep.
So when snow melts off, you typically have this huge chunk of ice at the bottom, and the top will become what do we call it? Corn. It's like a corn snow they call it or something. I can't remember. My buddy Jonathan is still in the chat. He'll remember what they call it. Like snowboarding, it's like mashed potatoes or something. It's a lot of fun when it's like all hot and sunny and starting melting off that way at this time of year. But what I'm getting at is you could walk across that and it wouldn't break.
Yeah, because it's gotten pretty dense underneath and pretty strong.
And if anybody wants to subscribe to the New Nature channel, I'm throwing that in the chat now. Boom, it's in the chat. Please subscribe. I think we're up to 50 or something 54 subscribers now. So, feel free to subscribe to that if you haven't already. And I'm going to be doing hikes all summer. And I was thinking what I'd do, Jake, is take the Skydio and some other drones and make a sort of a behind the scenes of me going to get that footage, out in the middle of nowhere. But luckily, I live close enough to a lot of that stuff like that. When you were watching, I took my electric skateboard. I was on it for like 2 minutes. I'm going to stream right next to the neighborhood, set up the cameras, and I just sort of kicked it and played like Bubble Pop on my phone for an hour.
Hey, man. Got to do it.
Yeah, right. That's what we got going on here.
That's I need to do that this summer. I'll have to do that. I'll call it World of Nature Alaska Edition.
There you go. I actually was debating changing that name to Nocturnal Emissions, which was a band name I wanted to have years ago. But my girlfriend was like, parents who let their kids listen to that while they fall asleep is probably not going to be okay with Nocturnal Emissions, because to me it means happy dreams. But to those parents, it means you're a pervert who's going to hide sexual things into your nature video.
Yeah.
So I decided not to switch it back to that. Flight Path, Aldrin is with us tonight. Got to put the kids down, but wanted to stop by and say, show his support. Good seeing us two together. Hope to catch the stream tomorrow and have a great night. Thank you very much. Yeah. And just so those who have been following this, don't get used to me doing a stream every single night. I'm only doing this through Monday, and then it stops. Okay. That doesn't mean I won't do a live stream once a week or every other week or something like that. But every night, it's only for a couple more nights. It's actually cutting into my editing time. So that's why you haven't seen any new videos up on my channel.
You've been streaming.
I've been streaming, and it's fun, and it's cool to get this social contact with everybody. And for those who don't know, Jake and I have never talked like this before. Like, we've talked through Twitter and through his live stream I've jumped on, and well, now that I have a live stream, he came on directly. But you know, it's interesting because with YouTube, you start to get to know each other, and if your channels have similar things with it, you know, that's great. But a lot of us who are trying to take it a little more seriously, we like sharing the back end of stuff. Like, it's cool to share and analyze, because YouTube doesn't really tell you how to do it. So we're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And it is cool because it's you know, since doing this stuff, it's like all of a sudden there's this much broader community that you get to be part of. And, you know, whether we're cracking jokes on Twitter about something or arguing about whether GoPro or Osmo's better, it's just, it's been pretty cool because you get to, you know, you meet people you probably never run into in real life.
And that, for those of you who have been to Spin Up, that's one of the huge draws for me on why I went to Spin Up the first year and the second year. I mean, the second year I was asked to speak, and the reason I said yes was because I've never spoken before. So I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could even do it. But the big draw to me was that we were meeting other people into YouTube and to drones. And for those of you who have no clue what I'm even talking about, let me actually find you a clip. I've got a clip I made just for tonight about Spin Up. It's a little it's sort of I'd say not a preview because it's already happened, but a condensed version of what happened at this year's Spin Up. So let me share that real quick, and then you guys have a better idea what Spin Up is. Here we go. This should get it going, and that's sharing. Let me make it full size. This program is pretty cool.
Welcome to Spin Up.
Hopefully everyone can hear this.
I'm done. I am done. I am done. Kelly from Ready.
All right. And that's just short. That's actually about another 30 seconds to it, but that gives a good idea of what Spin Up is. It's a bunch of people who love drones and love YouTube, and once a year they get together. It's been in Austin so far, and they hang out. Really, some people speak about drones or YouTube and other subjects, but it's a cool thing, man. It's a really cool thing to see everybody get together, and hopefully some of you saw yourselves in that video.
I saw a bunch of faces I know.
Yeah, right.
At least know from a distance, anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, so on the Skydio, what's your thoughts of the footage quality overall in your times using it?
You know, I still haven't done a side-by-side to see it at the same time, like with my other drones, so I can't say if it's better or worse, but I don't see a problem with it. I shoot everything pretty much in 1080. I'm a big 1080 fan. Occasionally I'll do a 4K video, but since I've tried to explain this to people, they're like, why do you never do 4K? Well, I save everything. I'm a pack rat with my files. So I have 5 hard drives already full of files. If that was 4K, I'd probably have 20 hard drives full of files, you know? So it's sometimes I do it, but it's rare. But I like the video. It looks nice.
I was going to play. I got a clip here of video that I shot with a Skydio out at that Glacier.
Yeah, let me put it up. Take Tim's thing down, and I'll put it up, and you can talk about it.
So this is just all shot with a Skydio, and it's amazing to me that a drone this size can get the footage it gets. It just, every time I've taken it out, it's been shocking. Most of the time on this, I didn't have any ND filter on or anything like that. I was just shooting because time is of the essence, and I was really hoping that big piece of that glacier would come down while I was there, but it didn't. But it's just the colors on it, everything I've used it for so far, it's really done an amazing job.
Right there, when you just did that droning, was that with the controller or with the beacon?
That was with the controller, and that was me doing it manually.
Oh,
because I couldn't get it.
It looked like it panned out further than what it does with the controller, so that's why I was curious.
Yeah. So, and then in editing, I speed ramped and just, but yeah, I was doing the controller because the beacon does a good job, but I didn't have the beacon with me that day, or something happened where I could use the beacon. And so I was shooting most everything with the controller, but it's, I know a lot of people kind of disparage the Skydio for its footage quality kind of before it came out, but, except for maybe low light stuff, it's got some great image quality overall.
How about you? The people in the chat who don't know about this one, with the 6 obstacle avoidance sensors on the top here and the bottom, well, I have it reversed. It will not allow you to take off in low light or fly at night.
Right.
Personally, I would love to see two things with the Skydio. That's it. If someone from Skydio is watching this, take note, because I guarantee you everyone that owns a Skydio is about to agree with me. The 2 things you need to do is, one, we talked about it already, make a new controller with a better signal, as well as a better quality feel that matches the drone. So it's like, okay, maybe even put the blue accents on the controller, make them go together, make it look like it's not an afterthought. Right now, that's what everybody feels, that the controller was an afterthought. And in reality, the controller is more fun to use than the tracking stuff. And then 2, make it so you can turn those sensors on and off manually so that we can fly at our own risk at night or at low light, sunrise, sunset. And besides that, I can't think of anything else I would actually change on this drone.
So have you tried to take off in like civil twilight,
Not yet, no.
Okay.
I usually fly during the day, midday.
So I have flown it before sunrise and after sunset, and I've been surprised at how dark it's been able to go, and I've been able to take off. Definitely not at night. It won't do anything. And I noticed that, obstacle avoidance wasn't working nearly as well as it was during the more bright hours, but I was able to get up in the air before sunrise and after sunset and fly around for a little bit.
But if we could turn them off, then we wouldn't have issues with it, because and I don't mean issues like, oh, I couldn't take off. But for example, I did actually, let me show you real quick what I did. It's a very, very short video. Where is it? Here we go. Let me just stop this. I did a video comparison of the Skydio and a few other drones, sharing the weight, how much weight they could actually carry. I don't know if you saw that one.
No, I didn't see that one.
And it was right when all this started. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to hit play. And that was the whole video, was me lifting a Corona beer with every single drone to see which one could do it and which one had more stability. And when the Skydio came, it had a rope around it here, and came out with like a noose to hold the beer. As soon as I launched it, it started going crazy because the rope hung here, and all 3 of those sensors were trying to make it get away from the rope.
Oh.
So I had no control over it, and it was carrying the beer. Actually, I didn't even get to the point of lassoing the beer, so it just had the rope, and it was moving all around. And luckily, I remembered, if you hit land, it turns off the sensors, and it stabilized, and I was able to catch it.
Oh, man. So I did you see the video where I flew the Skydio, or had it follow me and fly into a glacier ice cave?
I think I saw. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
It actually didn't do badly in that, if I recall.
No, it did really, really well. The worst thing that happened was there was a point where I was walking, across a big area where it's just flat snow. You can't see anything because it's just all snow. And there was real flat light. And I held the drone like this, and the steam from my hand or my gloves got on the sensors.
Yeah.
And when I first took off, it kind of started freaking out because it thought there was obstacles because the frost on the lenses.
Oh, no.
And I was sitting there going, it was like 3 degrees or 4 degrees. So it was pretty cold too. I was just like, oh Lord, here goes my drone. It's gone. You know,
what did it do? Did it just sort of go like this, or?
Yeah, it kind of flipped around a little bit. You know, it's moving really fast, like left, right, and then all of a sudden it was just like that was it. It was done, and it was fine after that.
Just
But
I guess the fog went away and it just
I
stabilized
think
it.
either the frost went off, or because the frost didn't change anytime it tried to move, that it figured out it wasn't an obstacle that it was trying to avoid or something. You know, it was weird.
Huh. Chris Hope is in the chat. Hey, Chris, you might have seen Chris on your channel, Jake. He's a cool dude. He was at Spin Up. You just missed it, Chris. We just played a clip of Spin Up. Let's see who else is in the chat right now. I'm not sure if Flight Path took off to put his kids to sleep yet, or if he's still in there. But looks like everybody's. I'm trying to look for new names right now, and if I missed anything, that's the hard part. I almost need somebody else here just reading the chat.
Right. You see, Eddie Nunez is here.
I just started doing this live stuff, so I've got only one moderator at the moment, which is Steve. Eventually, I will get some more. Actually, my buddy AJ, I know him real well. We'll add him as a moderator. So now we got 2 if he's still here. So Psycha still is now a moderator. So you're welcome there, AJ. So now you've got all this responsibility on your shoulders. I don't have many rules for my chat. You can cuss in it and do all that kind of stuff. Just don't use it to spam other channels and stuff unless you ask first. That's all. Let's see. Yeah, I think that pretty much catches us up in the chat. So that's cool. Let's see. I have something else. Bill actually, let me see if I can share this. I don't know anything about it, but Bill in the chat right now asked about this and what our thoughts were. And I am going to see if I can pop it up here for us to look at. And are you familiar with that?
The holder, the tablet holder for the Paradenofi controller.
I don't fly with a tablet because I try to make everything as small as possible for me to travel and hike.
Yeah.
I don't use a tablet. I used to have the iPad Mini 2 a long time ago, but once I moved up here and I started hiking everywhere, the smaller the better. That's actually one of my big complaints about the Mavic Air 2 is it's no longer pocketable, especially that controller. Today I went on a video and I hiked down by the lake and I had the Mavic Air in one pocket, the controller in another pocket, and the battery in another pocket.
Right.
Not going to be able to do that with the new Mavic Air.
So is the body of the new Mavic Air, is it larger? Like
it is. It is definitely larger. It's sort of in between the current Air and the Zoom.
Oh, that's too bad, because that was the best thing about the original Mavic Air was it was such a capable drone, but it's such a small size.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Steve is saying something to you there. What's he saying? Watch a Glacier, California is totally awesome. When I was in Alaska, we went to Portage Glacier, and we were lucky to see 2 separate sections of the glacier calf within 30 minutes of each other. Oh, that's pretty quick.
That's awesome. That actually was Portage Glacier, Steve. So you've been there.
Oh, that's funny. That's the one you were just showing, and he had been. Oh, that's small world. How funny.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Bill says, "Oh, stop it, Sean. You know you're going to buy the Mavic Air 2." It's funny because I actually had a conversation with my girl Gina today, and she was like, "If you can sell the Evo, you might as well buy the Mavic Air 2, and then decide between the Mavic Air 1 and 2 which one you actually like better in real life, and then sell the one that you don't want." And then I told that to my buddy Henrik from Tech Drone Media, and he started laughing. He was like, "You're going to keep them both." So we'll see. You might be right, Bill. You might be right. Oh, let's see. What else can we share? I know I prepared a lot of files with the Mavic, with a lot of things, but the Skydio especially. So do you have more stuff you want to share as well as some of your flights?
Yeah, I'm exporting another video right here from the Skydio, but I can, in the meantime, do you do FPV at all, Sean? Have you gotten into that?
I've tried it, but I have not actually been any good at it yet.
It's definitely like there's a learning curve to it.
There definitely is. I've seen Ken, the original Dobo, has been doing it a bit lately.
So, okay, this is some more Skydio footage here.
Let me pop it up.
That
beautiful little stream there. I like how
Yeah,
blue
it comes off of a glacier lake, and well, this doesn't now, but this is the Glacier ice cave going inside. That whole it's super short, but that whole ice cave is totally filled in with avalanches right now. I was hoping to get in there one more time this year, but no such luck.
a beautiful area. We've got a stream by us that has a very bluish tint like that, but it's because of minerals and things coming from an old abandoned mine. So it's super polluted, and it puts this white haze on all the rocks. And the water is vibrant blue. I mean, you wouldn't want to drink from it though.
Dang. But it looks good. Let's see. I was gonna play. There it is. So you know how we were talking earlier about, you can't really judge distance until you when you're flying your drone a lot of times. This is one of those things where I was like, I finally got up enough nerve to dive this cliff. And
this
is a great example. Like, I'm going 45, maybe 50 miles an hour here, going up this cliff. And then it's awesome. So see if you can find me on the lake here as soon as I get down at the bottom of diving this cliff.
How high was that?
1,200, maybe 1,500 feet. You see me and my buddy sitting out there at the end.
You know how long that would take with a regular drone?
I know. It's like, but there's been so many times. There have been so many times where I'm like, oh, I'm going to fly my drone up just up to that ridge and get a shot of coming up over the ridge. And then you start flying. And even with the max altitude enabled on a DJI drone, you're 1,640 feet or whatever it is. And that's when I find out the ridge is actually, 3,000 feet above me or something like that. But you don't have anything to judge the distance because there's no trees or anything up there. And
I've tried to actually fly to the peaks of some mountains, and I keep my drones at their maximum height. Everybody always sets theirs to 400. I set mine to 1,600. If it's the Autel Evo, I set it. I think it's 2,600.
Right.
Autel Evo can go a lot higher than the Mavic series. It'd be interesting to see what the top height is on the Mavic Air, if it's still 1,600 or if they've changed that. But I'll go out and I'm like, okay, I'm at the base of the mountain. Yeah, that can't be that much higher. And I go and I'm only halfway up the damn mountain. I'm like, not even close. Not even close.
It's it's one of those things where you're just like, forget it. I can't even get close to it. But so now you and I. Oh wait, I want to show one more FPV clip here, if you don't mind. I've been doing a lot of FPV lately because it's a lot of fun, especially once you get to the point where you kind of control the drone and make it do what you want to do.
That's funny. AJ says that he thinks I'd be good at FPV because I used to race RC cars. The difference with the RC cars, AJ, is they jump and they go around the track. There's dirt flying up everywhere and they're high speeds. However, they're not going this way. What is that axis? What would that be? XY or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
XY this way. I don't remember, but they're on the ground and just jumping and doing this. I don't have to worry about it's the up down that becomes the problem, as well as when you turn, they're not touching anything. So when you turn, they just keep going in that direction forever unless you get the sticks right.
Right. Yeah. You have to do the combination of controls to make it track through a turn where you're not going to be just like skidding out.
It's not like flying a plane either. So I used to fly RC planes as well. And those, there's a couple of motions you do to be able to get the elevators right and go through everything. And the drones I've tried, it's sort of like that, but I guess I just haven't done it enough. I don't know.
It's definitely different. I guess it's more like if you're flying an RC helicopter.
See, I've never done the helicopters. So you get so many cool chunks of ice around you. I don't have ice like that. That's so cool again.
So, and honestly, this is the whole reason I started doing FPV was I wanted to fly through crevasses like this.
Yeah.
And just to have that feeling of you're actually flying like you would be in an airplane or something, but being able to film it with a GoPro stuck on a drone.
Well, you can go so much faster with one of those too.
Oh yeah. I think my FPV drone right now, the way I've got it set up, I can go 60, 65 maybe.
And there's a ton of them that go 100. I mean, But
Yeah.
that is something I have considered. I thought of actually rebuilding one of my old combat glider wings and getting an FPV setup on it and flying around with that, because you can still get that plane like motion. It's just not be as fast. But I don't know how far you can go with them, because these fat sharks break up, and I want to be able to go far enough to get these nice long sweeping flights, because it's not like the FPV drones where if you're like, oh, I don't like that, I can quickly flip around. It's a little harder to flip around with a plane.
Yeah, I know. That's what originally, because I was like, I don't know if I want to learn to fly an FPV drone. I'll do a wing or a plane, you know, and I'll do that because I can fly a plane, no problem. And then I realized it's like, crap, if I ever get in trouble, like you're pretty much committed, because you can't, you've got to have a start point, and you've got to be able to fly through the flight path you want to take. You can't stop, you can't turn that sharp. You're going to be
great. You're making me think maybe I shouldn't do that, and I should look at practicing the FPV quadcopters.
No, you should.
Seeing that you were going to do the same thing that I'm talking about, are you glad you went the way you went, or do you sort of wish that you went with a long range FPV plane?
No, I'm super glad I went the way I went, because even I've used the FPV drone a few times filming. In fact, I can pull it up here. Maybe, can I? I might have to find it. Oh, here it is. No, that's not it. Anyway, I used the drone a couple of times to film. Like, we took a guy up onto a glacier with a fat tire bike and had him ride down a safe part of the glacier.
Nice.
So, let me make sure that's clear right now. It was a safe part. and I chased him with the FPV drone. So, which gives, you know, like if same thing, like if you were snowboarding down a mountain and I was chasing you with the FPV drone, it gives the footage this really different, very
it's faster looking. I mean,
it's way faster looking. It's like, it just feels like there's tons more energy in what's happening in the footage. And that's the way it turned out with the bike going down the glacier too. It was just like, it was super intense feeling, and it's really is a lot of fun.
Well, speaking of, let me share this. Speaking of following, I got a couple of videos of the Skydio doing some following on snowboarding. And this is when I was first learning the beacon. So I didn't realize you could point the beacon at the drone at this time. So I'm hitting the little buttons with my gloves hanging off. You can see my gloves hanging off, so I can hit the little buttons. And one thing that I've seen a lot of people do with the Skydio is it tracks them almost directly above their head. And to me, that makes for a pretty crappy shot. I like it when it's lower and you can see the horizon, which lets you see all these other mountains and all this other stuff going on. I have another shot I'll share in just a minute of where it on its own went sort of straight up and got this straight down look. And when you're in snow like this, if it's higher and it's going straight down and all it sees is you, well, it doesn't look that entertaining. It's really not. And it had a little trouble. You can see right here, it had some trouble staying with me as I switched back and forth going down that part. And this is another thing I've said a few times now, something that the Skydio does that other drones I haven't been able to achieve myself is to get them to stay in front. Like every time I've tried to do a tracking thing in front with one of my Mavics, it tends to eventually go to the side and then eventually behind me.
Yeah. So when you're tracking with your Mavic, have you ever had it where it goes far and comes close and like kind of does this back and forth thing where it's...
I've had my Mavic do all kinds of weird stuff when I've tried to track with it.
Yeah.
If it's behind me, not a problem at all, but I've tried to like set it up in front of me and then start like skateboarding or something, and it goes behind me first or in front of me for a second, then it does this weird, and the next thing you know, it's behind me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that too. The DJI drones really don't like to track from the front. They like behind the most, sometimes the side, but you've got to be really clear and really separate from anything around you. But the front, I've never had good luck tracking from the front. Yeah,
exactly. Let's see what else I've got. I got a couple more of these following snowboard videos.
That was great, man. Some fantastic scenery on that one.
So this is interesting. Well, I showed this yesterday, but I can show it again. I don't know if you saw it. Let me pull it up. This is a place called Loveland Pass. You don't even have to really hike at all to get to this place, which is nice. But it isn't a ski resort, so you can bring the drones with you, which is cool.
Nice.
So here you got my buddy there. He's following me with a 360, and when I cut to the right, it follows me. It's a little jerky worky, but you can like the way it's tracking me. But you can see right there, it just completely lost me and flew off on its own.
Wow.
So I thought that was a little weird. And then here we got it rescheduled. I figured out how to get it back to me. I didn't know how you could fly it with the beacon yet. So I used my phone and got it back to me. And now you see it's now following my red jacket buddy.
Yeah.
Like I have the beacon in my pocket, yet it followed him. So there's still some bugs that I was working out. I guess that's a thing. Like when you first launch it or get it to lock on you, you don't want to be next to somebody else because it doesn't just use the beacon, it also visually uses the camera to lock on you. So if you somebody, and I think since he had a brighter red coat, maybe it confused us and locked on him.
I know I've noticed that with my buddy when he and I have been out walking or hiking. It'll, for whatever reason, sometimes it's worked perfectly and never lost me at all. And then other times it'll just kind of seemingly randomly switch to him and start tracking him. And so there are some things that I think, especially once all this craziness is done and they get back to working on it more diligently and stuff, I think there'll be a lot more cool things that they're going to release in updates, I hope. Yeah,
I would hope so too. I've talked about, we both talked about it today. The OcuSync style controller would be nicer. Obviously, it wouldn't be OcuSync unless they licensed it from DJI. But these guys are so smart; they could build this crazy tracking. You'd think they'd be able to build their own kind of signal software to be able to have a better signal. I mean, these guys are brilliant. I mean, it's brilliant. I couldn't have made something like that if my life depended on it. But what was I getting at? Hey, you ever do that? You start talking and you're getting to a story or a point, and then all of a sudden your brain's like, "What the hell are you doing?" That just happened.
I think that's called age.
Yeah, I guess. I think that's been happening to me my whole life, though. Let me show this other clip. This is just to get back onto what we were showing a second ago, how I was talking about that top-down view. This clip sort of shows both. So this is just the beacon. This is no phone. It's just the beacon. But you see, like when it gets above me, like that, all you see is snow. Like that's not really a cool shot. I mean, if I was making a compilation and I put that in for a few seconds, cool. But a lot of people I watched when the Skydio first came out, this is all they got. It was just this above down shot with no horizon, because the horizon and the mountain behind me is gorgeous, yet you can't see any of it.
Right. That's what I find myself doing when I'm using the Skydio is I'm always pushing it down. I'm always telling it to fly down lower, closer to the ground.
Do you find it wanting to go up on its own like it did for me there?
Yeah, it seems like it tends to go up, even with the height to floor disabled, which I've had mine disabled pretty much all the time.
Yeah,
it still seems to want to go up, and it seems like it wants to go up and it wants to come closer because I'm usually trying to push it out to its max range with the beacon and then put it down low. Now the best luck I've had is when you use it like the magic wand, you push the blue button and move. That I've had the best luck with getting it to go somewhere and kind of stay there more than.
I agree 200%, because at first I didn't know you could even do that. The beacon isn't intuitive. When you first get it, it's not like you just grab and go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Let me do all this." Like your phone, the phone app, you can open it up, everything makes sense. The beacon, you actually have to go read the directions and mess with it a little bit to get to learn it. And once you learn it, then it becomes pretty intuitive. It feels intuitive. The holding the button and using it like a magic wand. Believe it or not, like that feature of this drone has been done before years ago, like 6 or so years ago. One of the unique drones actually had a beacon, and you flew it with the beacon, tracked for the beacon.
That's right. I remember that.
Now, I don't think it was as good as this one.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see old technology being made better again.
Right. It's kind of the leapfrog the original, but I mean, my favorite way to fly it with a beacon, I sent him some feedback just saying that, you know, especially because like if you're filming yourself and you're out running around, not having a controller in your hands or phone in your hands, but just having a little thing you can grab out of your pocket and trigger off a move or something.
Oh yeah.
Instead of feedback, I was like, if you could just make it so we could customize the double tap feature, like if you wanted it to do a droney or do an orbit or something, I was like, that would be amazing if you could choose, you know, one of 3 or one of 2 different moves. Because, you know, if you get up to a top of a mountain or you're up on a ridge, and either you're going to want to do a round yourself to show off everything around you, or pull a droney to pull back and kind of show everything that's you're standing in. But I hope they put that in a future update.
Can you imagine if the Skydio 3, we're going to hear it first here, with a beacon that was sort of more like a phone. Maybe it's a little smaller, half the size, but it's a touch screen and buttons, like half of it is a touch screen, like maybe that size right there, and the rest is just the buttons like the beacon. So you can actually quickly customize it and change some settings in it, boom, 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 like that. And then you have your same buttons to do all that. That would be pretty hot, especially if it had a button or 2 on the side.
That would be pretty sweet. And it wouldn't take much to take this from this to just a little bit more, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I say that. I have no idea. I
mean, in theory, it seems like
it's just add a button. How hard could it be?
We can make a supercomputer in a phone. They can make a beacon that's a little more advanced than the one that they made.
Listen, this thing here has more computing power built into it than I think probably my first 7 computers all put together. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So, and so one of the things we were talking about was filming yourself and what it's like to film yourself when you go hike up a 13,000 foot mountain. And so have you found that in the case of the Skydio, at least, to segue into this, have you found the Skydio's made that a lot easier for you? Or
I haven't had a chance to climb anything crazy yet since I've had the Skydio. I think it will definitely make it easier, because especially now that I understand the beacon part of it and the magic wand part, that's going to make it so much easier, because I can just be like, okay, I don't like where it's at. It's over there now, and just keep going. I'm not going to have to necessarily go walk up and set up a camera, walk back down, and then walk by it again, and then walk back to it, turn the camera around, then walk back by it again, and then walk back down and pick up the camera, and then go do it all over again 10 feet further.
I know, right? That's the thing. People are like, oh, that's really cool. And I'm like, if you only knew that I climbed that mountain like 6 times by the time I filmed this thing. I was like, yeah, it was a 2,000 foot climb or whatever. But literally, I probably climbed 5,000 feet, because it'd be run up somewhere, set up a camera, frame it up, get it started, run back down, and then start climbing back up, and then do the same thing it's so much harder than people think. It takes way longer. Like, it takes at least 3 times as long to film yourself doing anything.
So here's a video that I made that's just one snowboard run in my backyard. It shows me shoveling snow. And let's have a question here for the audience that's watching. How many times do you think I did this snowboard run to make this clip? This is my backyard. This is easy. But how many times do you think I walked back to the start of this thing and snowboarded down this little track to make this clip look like it was one time? That's you can guess too, Jake. It's you're gonna probably have a pretty good guess. Let's see. Let me get it pulled up here. I think this is it, and hopefully the audio is working. Here we go. All right. So what do you guys think? Let's give them a minute. Jake, you've already got your answer in.
I'm guessing 10. I was thinking like 10 or 12. I'm guessing it's 10 or 12.
Yeah, if you count the times that I actually filmed myself walking back also and climbing up and strapping things in, there's over 20 different clips put in there. The snowboard trail itself from the drop down is, I don't remember exactly how many times, but it was between 10 and 12. I remember that. And I had to hike back every single time. And I know it's not a big hike, but still, that's just, imagine doing that on a bigger scale on a mountain. Whew, it can be exhausting.
So I climbed up to this just it was like 2,500 feet, maybe 3,000 feet, way up the side of this mountain because I wanted to film something. And it was really hot last summer, and so I was trying to get up where it was cooler. And so I got up next to one of these glaciers that, like, the ones that sit on the mountainsides. And I filmed everything, and everything was great. And then I walked all the way back down, and true to form, most of the time I don't take stuff with me like water or food or anything like that. I'm just like, it's fine. I'll be fine. I'll get through it. I'll be fine. So I got back down there. It's the worst thing ever. Don't ever do that. I stopped doing it now. I'm taking water with me, or at least something I can get some water with. But
I bought some of those life straws in a bottle that I can pop it in. So I got snow in it. But the problem, I did that one year and I drank the water on the way up. And I was like, oh, I'll just refill it with snow. As I got up higher, it was too cold. The snow never melted in the bottle. and you probably know, but if you're really thirsty and you eat snow, it does not help at all.
It makes it like it's way worse. It makes it so much worse.
Out. It's crazy weird.
Yeah. But so I did all this and I got all the way back down. I was a mile from my car. And I'm like, sweet, I've got water in the car, my food in the car. It's going to be great. And then it hit me. I didn't know where my car keys were. And the last thing I had remembered was taking them out of my pocket and setting them on the ground next to my backpack up there.
On the hike.
And I was like, oh my God, if I left my car keys up there, I'm not going back. I'm going to call my wife and have her drive down here to meet me because I'm not hiking back up there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got to the car, I ripped open my bag, and fortunately I had thought at some point, I don't remember when, but I had stuffed the car keys down into one of the little exterior pockets on my backpack. But oh my gosh, I was like,
yeah, that's a fear of mine too. Just like I left the camera out filming by the lake, which was in Civilization, that's just turning my car around. But if I hiked up and spent 6 hours hiking to the top of a 13,000-foot mountain, and I got all the way back down, and where's my camera? No, no, that would suck.
It's at that point where you're really like, is it worth it? I don't know. It's right on the line of like, would I rather just buy a new one, or do I really want to?
Right, I feel you there. It's only $300 to $500 for the camera. That or hike up again. I'll buy the new one.
To me, it's that. But then it's always the point of like the footage, like all the footage that's on there. Like that's more. I mean, honestly, half the time that's more valuable to me. Like one of the times I was flying my FPV drone on a glacier and it crashed. And it fortunately crashed in an area that I took my Skydio and I kind of scouted it out. And I was looking, I found the drone and I followed a path on the glacier. I was like, okay, if I get up on this ridge and I walk this ridge to this ridge and I can get to the spot where the drone is and get it back and bring it back and know that I'm not walking on crevasses or, who knows what else. But it was the whole thing of like, is this really worth a $500 drone that I built myself?
Yeah.
Or do I just say, forget it? And it sits up there with my GoPro for years until it comes tumbling out the front.
Snowshoes, when you're doing most of your hiking, is I don't own a pair yet. So when I go hike, a lot of the times I'm doing stuff that's not that crazy far because I know I don't own snowshoes. So I don't want to get anything too deep. But last year when the Mavic Air originally was released, there's a smaller mountainside right by my house. Like literally it's probably only 500 to 1,000 feet tops. It's not very far. And I decided to take the Mavic Air and do a tracking video, and I hiked up with no snowshoes. I'm post-holing to my balls all the way up, and I'm already halfway up now before I started post-holing. So I'm like, well, I'm already halfway there. I got to keep going, and then try to put your snowboard in front of you and you dig yourself and you do this and dig yourself and you keep going. And finally you get there and you're exhausted. Now the sun was starting to go down. I popped the Mavic Air up. I'm like, okay, I get it all into the tracking mode, put the snowboard on, and I start dropping, and the Mavic Air goes, and then just kept going straight as I went down. I was like, what the? And that was it. And I was like, nope, I'm not hiking back up. I'm done. And luckily, actually, I did have to hike up. That's a lie, because I had no control of the Mavic Air. I disconnected from my phone.
Oh, no.
Control it. And I am so lucky that it was only like 5 feet above the ground where I actually took off from. You know, it was way over my head where I went down to, but I had to hike back up to it and get a little above it so I could reach it and just do that emergency shut off thing where you can turn
Flip
it
over.
Yeah. And those of you in the chat, that is not the way you want to actually turn off your drone. Everyone, I have these how to catch your drone videos, and everyone's like, oh, just flip it over. Just flip it over. There are so many people that destroy their gimbals by doing that. It's real. I've talked to DJI. It's actually meant for emergency. So if you wreck or you crash and it flips upside down, it shuts off. That is the purpose of that. Okay. So if you're on a boat or you're doing something and you have to, take the chance with your gimbal. But if you can just land it and turn off the props and not take that chance with your $500 camera or more, don't. Anyways, I got the camera. I finished the video. I still made the video, but it was basically just me bitching and complaining because I hiked all that and nothing worked.
Oh, man. I have footage that is just like hours of me complaining about trying to get somewhere and hating myself for wanting to get somewhere because it's such a hard thing. And for those of you in the chat, if you don't know what post holing is, it's where you put your foot down and your foot like goes down just a little bit and then goes down all the way to where you're walking basically up to your waist in snow, but it's like sand at that point. It's just, it makes everything 1,000 times harder to move because not only are you going down really deep, but then every time you got to lift your foot up, you're pulling it up through all this other snow that's fallen down on top of you. And I mean, it is like, if you want to develop the most bomb-proof quads in your life, that's the way to do it because it works your legs so freaking hard.
So
it's killer though.
I was actually snowboarding last season and we were like, okay, there's an area we can cut the rope and there's an area on the other side I know of that's really cool. And I just wanted to take a shortcut, but it's really flat. And it was a very powdery, big snowstorm day. And I was like, okay, carrier speed, let's go. Cut through it. And it was so flat that we didn't have the speed to get through it. So we had to unstrap our snowboards and sunk to our titties.
Oh.
And it took literally, we were maybe 50 feet from the run, the packed run that you could walk on no problem. And it took us 30 to 45 minutes to go 50 feet with me laying on my belly and crawling on top of it, holding my board, basically laying on my board to try to support me. And my buddy was behind me and he'd put his hand under my foot so I'd have something to push off of. And it literally took us 45 minutes to go, maybe at the very most 50 feet. It was insane in the amount of energy you use. So yeah, going through deep snow, it's fun, but it's a lot more work than you think it would be.
Yeah, it's exhausting. By the time you get somewhere, you're just like every ounce of energy you had is just wiped out. You're like, and if I was in your place, I would be wheezing like crazy too because I couldn't breathe.
Let me pull up a couple more clips that I set up here. I want to show people the controller, like how fun it is to fly with a controller. Give me a second to find them. I know I got.
Hey, while you're doing that, can I play a clip?
Yeah. Pull it up real quick. Right. I'll put it in the background.
So this is not my FPV drone footage, but this is my Mavic footage of my buddy riding a fat tire bike down this glacier.
Oh, you found it.
This is the Mavic footage of it. You'll see my FPV drone flying around here. But it's he had disc brakes on, and by the time he got to the bottom of the glacier, they were hot. There's my FPV drone right there.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, I've been thinking about getting a fat tire bike. I hear they can actually stay on top of the snow decently.
They do pretty good. depending on, I mean, like everything, it depends on your snow conditions and stuff like that. But so yeah, we did this test run, and it took him probably an hour to get up to where he started, because you're thinking, there goes my FPV drone again. You think, oh, it's not that far, but then again, it's just this huge mile wide field of ice that you're thinking, yeah, piece of cake, and you don't realize that's a mile and a half and 2,000 feet vertical climb to get to the top of it. Was just
all right. I've almost got these clips pulled up. I got 3 that they sort of go together.
So, and for anybody watching, I do not recommend that you ever try this. Like, don't go on a glacier or go into a glacier or or anything unless you are with somebody who really knows what they're doing, because they can be really dangerous.
So how soft? It looks like the snow is really hard there.
So this is kind of the same thing like what you were saying, Sean. We'd had a couple of like a week of like the warmer days, but cold nights. Ooh, so it had a really nice crust on it, and it was really pretty dense because it had been wind packed in there before, which also made it a little dangerous because it was a little harder to spot the crevasses and stuff. But
yeah, where he's at right now, crossing that would make me worry that it would just break off and be a pit underneath it.
Well, so the only reason is because I know exactly where that is in the summer, and I know there are no crevasses in that little spot there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the only reason we knew that is because I had been there a bunch in the summer and taken videos and photos of it.
I just realized the entire thing he was on was a glacier and just covered with a little powder on top.
Yeah. Yeah. So that whole time he was riding down, it's a ways.
That's crazy.
But
gorgeous, man. Let me see. I've got a few clips. First I want to show these guys what it's like to fly with the controller with the Skydio, because that's the big thing. Everyone's always they don't really get it. And it's actually so much fun. Like we were saying earlier.
It really is.
So this is just a compilation of some clips. This is actually the first time I flew with the controller, and I can't see the drone. Like I'm looking at my phone. I know I'm like 50 feet or 100 feet away from the drone, but I wanted to chance it and see how it would fly through trees. And I can't actually see the drone with my eyes, even though I'm so close, but it does really, really well through trees. Like right now, I'm actually flying backwards and strafing and yawing, and there's a tree. I had no idea that tree was there. I would have never done that with one of my other drones. I would have never chanced that.
Oh, you couldn't?
Yeah. I mean, I could. I just hit something.
Well, yeah, that's true. You could. You just replace a lot of parts, I guess.
Yeah, right. Even this droney flying through the trees to make a droney. Like, you notice how it sort of went left and right backwards through those trees. It's just incredible. It's such a fun thing to fly that with a controller. I just wish the controller had a stronger signal so that it wouldn't break up, because when you're trying to get those cool shots and it's breaking up on you, it's really hard to do.
Yeah. And it does break up really, really, really early. My guess is that it's this. Like, I almost wonder if somebody doesn't come out with an aftermarket antenna mod that boosts the signal or something.
Well, I've heard there's one for the Paradenofi, so I would imagine that same one would work with ours, but
it'd be interesting. I might try it. I'm not afraid of electronics work.
Is Bill still here, Coast to Coast Drones? I think he actually had mentioned it to me before.
Because the only other thing that I would think is that depending on where the antenna is in the body of the Skydio, it might make it hard.
I actually think the antenna's in the ass end.
That's what I would think too, back in here.
Yep. Whenever I turn around to come back, all of a sudden my signal goes completely out so many times.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that it's in the back. So for people in the chat that don't understand what a gimbal is, maybe they don't own a drone yet and they've never used a camera with a gimbal. A gimbal basically is what he's holding right there in his hands. It basically is a 3-axis gimbal, which supports all axes of the camera to basically keep it locked level with the horizon. That's the point of it, is to keep it steady and locked with the horizon. So if you turn your hands, it's not doing that. You turn your hands, it's still staying like this. And the reason I show you that, I can show you a great example of what a gimbal is supposed to do with this video right here. This is the GoPro Max, and is a 360 camera in hero mode. It is not a gimbal. This is digital. This is a digital replication of a gimbal in a sense. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Yeah.
But I put a red line on the screen. I don't know if you've seen this, Jake, but if you haven't, you're about to want to go buy a GoPro Max. It's so impressive. It's a 9-second clip, so just check this out real quick, and then we'll talk more about it.
It has horizon leveling built in. So I'm moving this around like crazy.
Look at the shadow.
And the horizon should actually be staying level right now.
That's
So
amazing.
that is digital, which is mind-blowing, because a regular gimbal should be more steady. But I mean, that's, if I had done that with a regular gimbal like this, it would not have kept up. It would not have been able to stay that steady. It would have had little jitters and been, for example, I took the GoPro 7 and I put it in the GoPro Karma, which is a gimbal. You're familiar with the GoPro Karma?
Oh yeah.
So you put your camera in that, and it mounts into a gimbal, so it's removable from this gimbal. And I did a side-by-side of it with that digital, the one you just watched, to see if which one was better. And it blew my mind. I wasn't expecting it to be better. I expected it to be comparable. But check this out. You're going to notice, one, that the color profile, look at the blues on the left. Look how bright those are and how popping that yellow is.
Yeah.
Yet you can still see the shadows in the snow. It's not washed out, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing to me, how much further they've come with their built-in auto color profile, first of all. So now when you're watching this, watch for, on the gimbal side, a little shake here and there. And another thing you notice is it's so much easier for me to keep them in frame on the one without a gimbal, the digital stabilization. Like right up here, I think there's a good shaky part that comes up. You see how he gets out of frame on the gimbal?
Yep.
And those, for who don't know, that's because the gimbal sort of is a slower panning object. This digital, the way cameras have been made, and this digital stabilization that's being made in these 360 cameras is absolutely mind-blowing. And the cool thing is, even though this is a 360 camera, I'm not using it in 360 mode. This is called hero mode, Jake. And it's using only one lens, just like a GoPro 8. The files come out as an MP4. You don't actually have to do any editing afterwards. It's just boom, it comes right out of the camera, and it's good to.
Because that was one thing, like I had the Insta361, and I think you had the Insta360X.
I got the X, the R, and the GoPro Max.
So the only thing that I didn't like about those was the extra step of editing. If you wanted to put out a flat, normal,
and that's with all
16:9.
You have to do that with 360 footage because it's filming everything at one time.
Right.
So you then have to go, okay, I want the camera to look at this after the fact. But with the GoPro Hero, the Max, you put it in hero mode, and you can choose if you want this lens or this lens to film. You can choose up to 60 frames a second. That's the only downside. It only goes to 1080 60. For me, that's not a downside because, like I said earlier, I always film in 1080, so it's not a big deal. But when you're turning it, you turn horizon lock on in that hero mode, and now it's filming just as if it's a GoPro 8. So your file's an MP4 file, just like that. Yet you can do this, and it's still like that. I mean, you can be doing all this, and it's perfectly level. I mean, you saw when I'm hitting jumps. Normally a camera, I'm going up and down like that.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that shake or some kind of big movement. None with this. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And the weirdest thing is that you get into these groups that talk about the Max, and none of them talk about that feature. They're all just talking about the 360 part of it. And
I'm not, the whole 360 thing, like, I don't feel like it's really ready for prime time yet. Like,
This changes my mind though, because of the way this works.
Well, doing that hero mode like you were doing there, that looked incredible.
It's mind blowing. But it's still cool to have that. And then to go, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this one run. I don't want the stick to show. Let me turn it on 360 because I'm going to try something. I'm not quite sure what I want to exactly get, what angle, or how far away I want to film, or all that. And you can still do that, and poof, you've got one shot, and then you do the rest with the hero mode, and you mix them all together. So you're only having to render that one. But the cool thing is, a lot of the times, I can go out if I'm making a snowboard video. I can do one run, put it on 360 mode, and then edit it 3 times and render it out 3 different ways, and it looks like I did 3 or 4 runs.
So when you do the 360 mode, then do you have to use the app or Studio to frame what you want to frame?
You can use the app on the computer if you're an Apple guy. They've got a pretty good app that just was updated. Otherwise, I like to do it on the GoPro. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I like to do it on the iMac, not the iMac, the iPad, the iPad Pro. I like to be able to touch it and move it and swoosh it around with my fingers, pinch it and zoom it. I did just put up a video. If you haven't seen it and you're not real familiar with how to edit it, it's a very beginner video showing how I took the file. I skipped taking the file and rendering it. I put it in there and just showed how I drop points and can move it around. And then you hit render and that's it.
So can you edit kind of like what Insta360 does, where you can kind of define an object you want to have it track through a shot and stuff like that?
Exactly. I personally like to manually track it. They don't have one in it that you can click, okay, follow that like a active track on the GoPro yet. For whatever reason, they didn't put that on there. But I never use that feature on Insta360. I like to manually choose my own stuff. So it wasn't something I lost. Let me see if I can actually find that video. I'll post it. You can check it out a little bit later too. Just skim around through it. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but I think you'll get the gist of it pretty quick, especially if you've played around with some of the older ones.
Yeah.
That file of what was talking about there, you can check that one out. Oh, let's see. I have this thing I want to talk about on the Skydio real quick. I know you had to get out of here around 11, so let me play this, and we'll probably wrap it up shortly after you get out of here too. I feel like going home and playing a little. I've been playing Spider-Man on the PS4. So,
nice.
Yeah, I got and finally getting back into videos. What I should do is go home and edit the video that I filmed today, and I'm probably not gonna.
See, what I do is because I wake up at just ungodly hours in the morning always, and so usually I get up and that's when I'm like filming any B-roll or like all the scenes here in my studio or editing is always between the hours of like 4 a.m. and 8 a.m.
You know, I have the hardest time because we have a couple dogs and all that, and when I get up and if they're all laying all over me, I'm just like, oh, I'll just lay here for a couple hours until they move.
Right.
They'll sleep next to me, so it's hard to get out of bed when everybody else is looking so comfortable. All right, so this.
Oh yeah.
Who know about the Drunken horizon, and we've been talking about gimbals and how they're supposed to lock in the horizon. So I think this brings us right there to this point. Out of all the drones I've owned, the Mavic Air is probably the one that I have with the most stable horizon ever.
Yep.
I'm a little bummed that even my zoom goes a little bit back and forth when I'm strafing.
Mm-hmm.
I find that if you have one that does it when it's yawing, it's way more drastic. And my Skydio, I haven't tested it yet, but you're going to see in this footage, you can see the red lines already on the screen. If you watch, it's obviously not the exact same footage because I flew them separately. But if you watch, you'll be able to notice that on the Skydio version side on the right, it sort of sways like you're out to sea, and that's what we call the Drunken horizon.
Yeah.
It just doesn't hold level. So if you're moving the drone this way, sort of like an FPV drone, but it's this slow. It almost makes you nauseated. When I had my original Mavic Pro, when that came out, it was so bad, Jake, that literally I'm flying and I'm like feeling sick to my stomach. Watching the thing. It was so bad. And that's sort of how I started getting people to follow me on YouTube. Was I sent that thing back in, and they sent me back a replacement that was still messed up, but it was a Fly More package with the bag. And the bag they sent me had holes in it, and it was all used and scuffed up. And so I was pissed. And so I made a video showing the bag and pissed off and just like, this is no way that customer service should work, and then of course they contacted me again, had me send it all back, got me all taken care of. And even then the camera still had a very slight one, but after that customer experience, I just decided, screw it. I'll just keep this one, even though I know they're not supposed to do it. And I made a video eventually talking about the Drunken Horizon and how people who were new to the hobby at that time had no clue. There was people posting Mavic videos left and right, and they were all doing it. And they were like, oh, it's great. It's wonderful. And so I felt that I needed to do a public service announcement and show people what a gimbal should do and what it shouldn't do. And that's how the Drunken Horizon was sort of born. But let me play this video. And since you said you don't have this issue.
Not with my Skydio. I do have it with my Mavic 2. Like the longer I do strafing movements or parallax orbits and stuff, the more I'll notice the horizon will start to drift. So yours is really bad.
Yeah, what I did on this one is put 2 lines. And so one is what the horizon should be. And you notice as it moves, you can see what the horizon becomes.
That's really bad. Like mine, even if mine does it a little bit, it's nothing close to that. Because I tried after I saw, I think, did you post this on Twitter or something?
I think I probably did.
And I saw it and I was like, I'm going to go try and see if I can make mine do that. I couldn't get it to do it.
This is in a video when I did a Mavic Air compared to the Skydio range test.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all right, that's right.
And when you see the video by itself without the lines, it's a little less noticeable. This one's actually not bad compared to the Mavic I had years ago, but it's enough that I was like going, wait a minute, something's off here. So I started throwing the red lines on there, and you can see, because even with the mountains, and people will be like, oh, it's the mountains because they're uneven. That's a lake. So the horizon at the lake, when it meets the lake, should always be flat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things you wouldn't really notice it until you put it up against something where you know the horizon is just dead flat.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I noticed it was because of the lake, because when I'm flying through the mountains, you don't so notice it. And I haven't heard anything from Skydio. I haven't really contacted them yet. I need to go out and actually make a video and really test it to see which movement is causing it. And then I can actually approach them and say, hey, what are you guys going to do? This is not how a gimbal should be. Now that I know that yours isn't doing it at all, that's great, because then I know that it's an issue with mine and not just how their gimbal is built. Because some drones could have that less tolerances in their gimbal.
Yeah. Yep. Does yours, like mine, when I turn it on, it always kind of cocks just a little to one side. It's not like straight on, in relation to the body of the drone.
Let me find out here.
And it doesn't seem to affect it when it's tracking and stuff, but I noticed it at first. I was like, that's different.
Is that get up to the beacon or anything? Just turning it on?
Yeah, I just turn it on. I've never looked to see. I don't think it really straightens out until maybe it's in the air, and then it straightens out. All things Skydio your does too. Maybe it's a part of the way the gimbal's designed, with it kind of starting off on the one side or something. But like, you're probably not supposed to do this. But
probably gonna have to turn the beacon on, huh? Because it's not doing anything.
No, it takes a minute. Just give it a few. But so see how it's like.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it is cocked. It's pointing to the left.
It's pointing to the left. I think it must be the way the gimbal's designed.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I love the fact that you can like.
That is really weird. Now that I'm just gonna.
I'm sorry, I just pointed out something that's gonna drive you crazy.
Yeah, because I'm like, even the camera is like.
It's just off to one side, just like 5 degrees or something, where it's kind of pointing over.
Yeah, like I'm trying to put it back straight here, and it just pops. What? Yep. I think if you're watching this, please jump in the comments. This replay video and explain that.
The only thing I can think of is something to do with the way the gimbal's designed.
I don't know, but then the camera, you would think the camera would be angled this way so that it was still perfectly straight.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
It's so strange. But I love the fact that, like, look how far you can tip this thing over and the gimbal is still.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go almost 90 degrees before the gimbal bottoms out. It's amazing.
Same with this way. Almost not. Actually, I went 90 degrees this way.
And then, when you use the app, you can just tap on areas when you're using the app on the phone and it'll fly to those areas.
I've heard that, but I don't use a lot of automated stuff, so I haven't messed with that. I need to get out and actually really explore the app. I told you earlier, the way that I found out you could do a droning with the beacon was I was doing some snowboarding and I fell, and all of a sudden my drone took off, and I was like, oh crap, I'm having a flyaway. And it turns out I just fell and it must have double tapped the beacon in the ground. It wasn't a flyaway at all. I was just stupid and didn't know what was going on.
I did when I was search and rescuing, looking for my FPV drone on the Glacier. I found it and found my path and stuff. And right about then, the controller disconnected, and I'm sitting there, like, looking at my drone, waiting, and all of a sudden it turns and just starts zipping back to where my takeoff point was. And I was like, oh, this is just. That's the one thing I like. I love flying with the controller because the drone responds so well to inputs, but man, the control signal just drives me crazy. So
here's a question for you, Jake. If you're flying with just the beacon, so when you fly with a controller, you can usually, or at least with the DJI drone, I haven't gotten that deep into this. Can you select it to follow the controller or still have the home point that you took off on? You know what I'm saying? How you can select?
Yeah.
One you can.
You can, like, I don't think there's a setting for that, but you can when you're going to land, or when you push the return to home button, it'll ask you if you want to return to home of the takeoff point or the current location of the phone and controller.
So similar kind of thing. It's interesting.
So similar, but there's no setting. Like, you can't go and set it permanently one way or the other. It'll ask you either when the critical battery warning comes up, it'll ask you if you want to return to the home point or the controller point or your phone point. And then the same thing, if you push like return to home or come back, it'll ask you which point you want to come back to.
Interesting. I wonder if it lost signal completely and you couldn't actually select that.
Yeah, it had disconnected completely because it was going back to the takeoff point.
You had no choice of where it went then.
Yeah, not at that point. It just because it had totally disconnected, and it was disconnected long enough. Like sometimes it's like you can't really do anything and you can't see anything, but the drone is still getting signal from the controller, so it's not like a total disconnect. But then this was like it totally completely disconnected. And then as it got about halfway across where it was going back to the takeoff point, it reconnected with the controller, and then I just had it come back to me. But of any drone I've had, like I worry about this one the least of it's just flying back to a home point because I've seen it avoid so many things so well.
I haven't actually let mine do the return to home. I almost never use return to home. I know a lot of people who fly, and when they're done flying, they sit down, click return to home, and ignore it.
Yeah,
I like flying manually, so I just always fly it back. All things Skydio says when it gets to the launch altitude, the gimbal corrects.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. And that's kind of what I was thinking, because I've never seen, like, it doesn't feel like the drone is flying cockeyed to keep you in the right framing.
I got to ask you, how all things Skydio, how do you know it corrects when it gets to altitude unless you're really, really tall or got a hell of a ladder to go up there and see if it's straight? I got to know. Is it just a guess that it's correct? I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell. Yeah, there you go. Nah, just joshing with you, man. But I am serious. How do you know? Oh, let's see if we got anything we're missing here in the chat. Guys, I'm sorry if we've missed anybody in the chat there. Hopefully you guys are talking amongst yourselves. That's one of the cool things that I love about doing these live shows is that so many of you do get to know each other. And not only that, but we all tend to jump around into each other's live shows as much as we can, or as often as we can. It's not easy all the time because some of us get busy. I know myself, when my business is open, I can almost never make it to anybody's live shows because everybody does them so early that I'm working. So I'm not able. That's one of the reasons this 9 o'clock thing works so perfect for me. So I do think I'm going to be doing more of like an 8 o'clock start instead of a 9 o'clock start. once I'm working again. I just don't know what day of the week yet, because everybody has a show every day of the week, and I don't want to step on anybody else's toes.
Man, you are not kidding.
It's hard.
It's so hard. Like,
You can't do Thursday. Ken's had his show for a long time, and nobody would come to your show over Ken's, right?
No. And that's what, like, when I was doing it, originally I started doing live streams on Saturdays, but that's bad because that's like in the middle of weekends. Everybody's not really doing anything. So I was like trying to do Sunday nights, but that doesn't really work either, because lots of people are, even though they're not doing things on weekends, but they're all kind of like getting ready for work or kind of in that mindset. So I ended up with Wednesday night, which has worked pretty well. I usually get done right as Original Dobo is starting his, when Ken starts his live stream. Like,
you were doing yours first.
I'm doing mine. I was doing mine first. I was. But he's always starting, because I'm doing mine from 4 to 5 Alaska time, which would be like 6 to 7 your time. And then he starts his right at the time I'm getting done with mine. So it's been fine so far, but.
You see, so I'm hoping I've recently decided that I'm actually going to start a third channel too.
As if 2 wasn't punishment enough.
The problem is, there's days that I go do vlogs that are nothing but snowboarding and talking about snowboarding and things like that. And most of my drone people, they don't care for me to teach them how to use a GoPro to do action stuff or 360 stuff. And it just makes more sense to make another channel that's snowboarding / electric skateboards. And in the mix of that, I could actually show people how to do vacations in resort towns like this. And I could go to, say, Keystone Resort. This is the base area. Just a video on that. Can you imagine if I did a video of just the base area of a ski resort and that's all the video was? It would get almost no views on my current channel, because people would be like, what is this stupid thing?
Yeah. And that I've noticed that. And that's partly why, like, originally when I started my channel out, it was something totally different.
Yeah.
It was like kind of vlogs and stuff, but it had a lot to do with Star Wars stuff. And then I quickly realized that the Star Wars stuff was totally taking over anything else I wanted to do. And so I had to split that up to a separate channel. So I split that up to a separate channel. And then, and that was right around the time the Mavic Pro came out. And that was kind of how I launched my channel, was starting to do the Mavic Pro videos of but I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I mean,
well, your subscriber count's been growing a lot. And if I did, let me pull up this let me find this website and we can show everybody.
The Social Blade?
Which one?
Social Blade?
Social Blade, yeah.
Where you can do the comparison thing?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I started out last year. I had like 3,000 subscribers. And then, but last year I was like, okay, I know what I want to do. I want to do stuff about videography and photography using cameras and drones. And I'm just going to like force myself to post once a week, not because I wanted to grow or anything like that, but just because I wanted to get in the habit of creating something once a week. And so I did, and it was amazing. It took like 3 months, but then all of a sudden I started getting traction on, I don't remember what videos it was, but it took a bit. And then all of a sudden it was like, boop, and it started going up really fast after that.
Was that back in July of 2019?
Yeah.
Because you can see right there, boom, at July 19th, you just bump. And you can see mine's still growing, but it's sort of plateaued. And yours is catching up. And then right here in January, we crossed, and you just right up. And now mine has recently had a little bit of a bump back here. Don't remember what I did to make that happen. So I need to look into that. But now
so you see the first bump there in July, where it starts going up, and then you see the second bump there just before January.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That second bump is when I did my Skydio versus Mavic video. And almost all that second bump is just from that video alone, because that video really ranks really well in search, and there's I don't know why that one really hit well.
So the reason mine grows, but it grows slow, is because my content is my life. It's not just
right.
And finally, I'm thinking to myself, well, what's the big difference? If I'm making a video snowboarding anyways, why not just upload it on another channel? It's going to take just as much time to upload it on this one as that one. So instead of doing different playlists, which is what I've always done, I've had a snowboard playlist, a drone playlist, and all this stuff mixed. Just make it a different channel. So I just log into the new channel prior to uploading. It just sucks because starting from zero is going to suck.
Oh man. Yeah.
So that was your subs. And if we go to views, oh, that's weird.
And this is where it's really interesting because like you have way more views than I do.
And it's not working
But
for me.
so the other thing that's funny is like my and we have a lot of different videos. Like I think I have almost 100 videos. You have 500 videos.
Yeah, I've got 496 now, and you have 96. And if you look at the views, that's weird. You must have taken a video off right there. Do you see where yours dips and goes down? You must have removed a couple of videos.
I did.
Okay,
there's a couple of videos. It's a long story, but the FAA and I were talking about some things, and they were like, before we take a look at anything, is there anything on your YouTube channel you don't want us to see? Because once we see it, we can't unsee it.
Oh, that's awesome. You already know.
So I was like, you know what? Give me 2 days, and then you can go look at my YouTube channel. And so I thought it was hilarious that they were just like, we're gonna look at your YouTube channel, so we can't unsee things once we've seen them. So go hide anything you don't want us to see.
Let me say hi to Gideon real quick. It's he just said hello in Moneymakers, and that's awesome. He still says that. I hope he's feeling pretty well. AJ, AJ's son is a cool little dude. He's been going through a struggle. Do you have a link, AJ, that you could post here to let everybody sort of read on your son, and maybe if anybody wants to throw some nice wishes his way? He's leukemia, if I recall. I don't want to sound like an idiot that doesn't remember what it is he's going through. It's cancer for kids, leukemia, right? That's what that is, right? AJ, please tell me I'm not an ass and I can't remember. But my memory is horrible, so don't hold it against me. But yeah, if you've got something, AJ, that you can post to share with the group, the story of Gideon or whatever, Iron Gideon, that would be pretty cool. I'd like to see that shared. But okay, so back to this here. You see, this is the views. And I mean, my view count is ridiculous, like compared to my subscriber count. And it's not just us. Like if we even pull up, let me come up here. This is interesting. So this is my buddy. Do you know Henrik from Tech Drone Media?
Yeah.
So his is great. He and I at the exact same subscriber amount, 1,000 each. And
yeah, except for now he's like,
oh yeah, but he kept his stuff all drone. It was very much drone related, and you can see his purple, and he's way up here now, right?
That is something I've noticed. The more focused you are, it's like the faster YouTube can figure out what you're about and what your channel's about and what kind of people like your stuff, the faster they can find the people that want to see your stuff.
Yep.
But the more varied your content is, the more it has a hard time trying to figure out who to send your stuff to.
I personally think that YouTube needs to change the algorithm and not do it that way, that they actually should show your content based off your title and your description and your tags. Put it in front of people that have interest in those things. And if it takes off, it takes off. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then they can bury it. But what they do is they show it to your subscribers. So if I make a video that's about a GoPro and my drone people are like, I don't give a crap, and none of them click it, that video is doomed from the start.
Oh man, you are not kidding. Although I will say, like, I've gone back and tweaked the title or the thumbnail of a couple of my really terribly performing videos. And apparently that was enough to trigger YouTube to try and surface it again, because I noticed a huge uptick once I changed something that people responded better to. The views immediately started ticking up. And
another thing you can do is if you make I hate to use the word clickbait, I like to say clickable titles, because you want them to still be legit. You want whatever your title is, it's about that, but you want it to be flashy and like, whoa, what is that? Let me click on it, I hate to say this, but think of a tabloid title. The article is about Bigfoot eating a baby or something, but that's what the article is about. So the title relates to the article and makes you look at it and go, what is that?
Right.
But if we go to Henrik's views and all of the views, this is pretty interesting, because if you look here, I still have more views than Henrik, even though he has so many more subscribers.
Yep. Subs aren't everything, man. My Star Wars channel has 30,000 subs and 5 million views.
Oh, that's awesome.
But But the funny thing is like, if I was to monetize it, it gets almost nothing. It would get almost nothing.
Really? Why?
Because advertisers aren't looking for that. Like, it would probably get more if I did it right around, if I monetized it during or around a time of a Star Wars movie coming out or something like that, because people are searching for more of that stuff.
Interesting.
But otherwise, like, advertisers, they don't want, they don't feel like advertising to a bunch of kids and adult men who are also kids watching people dress up in Star Wars costumes.
And my buddy who does the snowboard channel, if you look at his subscribers,
holy crap.
Yeah. He this is where he started going back in October. That's the start of snowboard season in 2018. He went full time, 1 video a day, right? And you see all of a sudden it spikes up. He and I were like almost the same.
Yeah.
He goes daily and poof, instantly it changes everything. And then he gets through the snowboard season. And then come October, the next snowboard season, he starts going daily again, and it's going up huge again. And then right here, he gets a viral video that gets played on the news.
Oh, dang.
Oof, it goes crazy. And then you can see where it plateaued right here. Let's see, that is about March. That's when everything shut down and all the ski resorts closed, and he couldn't make the same videos anymore.
Right.
And then with views, he actually was catching up because his are all vlogs, right? So the cool thing about him doing vlogs, although he does teach a little snowboard stuff in there, it's mostly him snowboarding and the journey of getting better, right? And so his people get to know him and his character and his life and more about him. So the people that watch his stuff are like passionate. They're like fans.
Yeah.
It's really cool because he makes merch and shirts, and people buy his stuff and wear it and support. Steve Carpenter, thank you so much for the super chat. That's pretty damn awesome. He says, excellent show, Sean and Jake. Thank you for all the excellent information and video footage this evening. You are very welcome, man. You are the man. I don't get a lot of super chats, so that's always pretty stoked when I get one, and I stop everything when I see it and interrupt myself and go straight to thanking that person because you don't got to do that, and I appreciate it. Thank you. So what I was saying on his, because his stuff is more vlog centric, he gets this very passionate following. Let me close that out. There we go. And these guys, they just support him. Like, he'll do a live chat and he'll get $500 super chats.
Wow.
Yeah. And we've sat down and we'll compare analytics all the time. He didn't know a lot about the analytics when I met him. So I sat there and shit. Hey, and Ricker, yeah, we are still streaming. Wow, you want to jump in with us before Jake goes? But we've come to the conclusion that it's because of the style and because he does let people into his life so much that it's like they feel like they're part of his family.
Yeah.
And I think
that's huge for people that do the daily, like, this is my life kind of vlogs. That personal connection with people, it has to work, or it just, you can't do anything with it.
Like me, I sell a shirt once a month or so. I don't sell a lot of shirts, and I got really cool artwork on my shirts. I never mention them in my videos.
That's the thing. So, like, I sell prints, photos and stuff, but I never push them on my videos. I never like, buy my prints. I feel like that's really, I
know. I feel like a car salesman or something. And like I'm not supposed to, I don't want to push. I didn't grow up pushing and asking for things. So it's hard for me to do that. And I know there's nothing wrong with it. It's my artwork, is my time. I've made it. If someone buys it, that's awesome. If they don't, no big deal. But it's something that I don't do and he does do. He's pretty good about just every single video. He has a similar catchphrase that he says about selling his stickers that he makes as well as shirts, and he remembers every single time to do that in every video, even though it's not a pre-recorded clip. He just says a similar thing every single time. And he also does something called a sticker shout out, which I've been trying to figure out a way to do something similar to reach the community more, to get them more involved. And what he does is, with his sticker shout out, is he has his custom sticker and sells those, and if someone tags him on Instagram in the sticker, he stops and he always chooses somebody in every single video that's done it and comments and shows their board or snowboard or helmet or whatever they put their sticker on and calls them out and puts their Instagram handle in there.
That's cool. People love that. Like the shout out thing. People really like, especially if you have a lot of fans, like to get a shout out from somebody you really like it's a big deal. And
yeah, the guy is really good at that aspect of YouTube. He's so good at it. So I see, I mean, he's, like I said, he's already making a living doing it full time. So
that's amazing. And was he at 40,000 subs?
now he went full time at like 8,000, 10,000 subscribers.
So that's amazing. That's the weird thing to me is like I've talked to some people who are like, they can't make it full time and they've got 1 million subs or 500,000 subs, but they couldn't make a full-time living off of it. And then other people, I'm like, they have 3,000 or 4,000 subs and that's their full-time deal. And it's so bizarre how the difference.
It's totally because of the way he does the merch and the stickers, the t-shirts and the stickers. That's what he's going full-time off of. It's not his views. I mean, it don't hurt. It's nice extra money, but it's the merchandise sales that have made him be able to go full time at 8,000 to 10,000 subscribers, and his consistency of always remembering to talk about him and always remembering to push him, and 7 days a week.
Yep, I think that's the biggest thing is when you have to wrap a business model around what you're doing on YouTube if you want to do it full time, and the business model has to not be based on AdSense alone.
Yeah, it is. That's part of my problem is I do have some shirts for sale. I had some stickers, but I never made a store to be able to even buy them, and now I'm out of them. So, and I just think of it as making videos. I need to think of it more as, hey, this could be a retirement plan one day. I could have the shop, the studio, have a crew of people tattooing, and I could just run around and go make videos, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Well,
I want to be somebody who's like, my full-time job is to run around the mountains, make videos with equipment and drones and cameras and tell people what I think about them. And then, you know,
that's actually part of why I started that nature channel. One, to get out and it's just so easy from where I'm at. But two, Gina was using somebody else's nature channel of just some sounds like that, like a stream or something. I was like, I could do that for you. And she was leaving them on all night for 4 hours, 8 hours, just leaving that sound playing. While her kid slept to it, like white noise kind of stuff. And I went to a nature channel on that same Social Blade thing, and I started looking at it, and their stats were through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just this constant growth over 3 years. And I was like, well, it has sucked to start over, but in 3 years' time, if I'm getting anywhere near that kind of growth, my nature channel is going to support me and my family, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's a guy up here I know that he doesn't do YouTube, but he does stock photos, and he just uploads, you know, he goes out and takes photos, uploads it on there. And he started, I think he said 2 years ago, and it's pretty much his full-time job. But he told me if he'd started 5 years ago, he probably would have been able to retire by now at the trajectory his income is going with the stock photos. And I mean, he's a brilliant photographer, so obviously he's got that going for him. But
well, I kick myself in the butt all the time because I actually opened this YouTube channel in 2008, and I was doing special effects zombie style makeup, and I was showing because I was doing that all the time, and people always asked how I do it. So I was like, you know what, I'll make some time lapse videos of me doing it, and I'll put some little text in the bottom. And every Halloween, I'd do some more. And just at Halloween, they would spike. I had no idea at the time that you could make a living off of it. And I keep telling myself in 2008, I had continued doing that, but not just at Halloween, year round, and busted my ass and learned what I learned now. Then I would be one of the first and biggest makeup tutorial channels out there.
Yep. I started my channel in 2013. I think, and you know, if I'd known then what I know now, I mean, probably have 150,000 subs or something like that. But I'd be like Ed Ricker. I'd have as many subs as he has, because I think we got our Mavic. I got my Mavic Pro in the very first shipment they sent out. Somehow I got lucky. You know, remember they only made 100,000 units or whatever, and the demand was like 1 million units.
Yeah,
and so they shipped out the ones they had, and then everybody else was waiting months. Meanwhile, any Mavic Pro footage that got put on YouTube got just massively consumed because everybody was waiting to see what their drones would look like. And
yeah,
you know, if I'd known then to go, yeah, this is the Mavic Pro, do a proper review of it and do like a how to use it and stuff like that, it would have been a whole different ball game. But you live and learn.
Yep. What you gonna do?
Yeah. Sit at home in the quarantine,
Yeah, right.
live streaming with friends you haven't actually formally met yet in person, but whatever.
We will sooner or later. But
Oh yeah.
Start. Well, I know you said you had to go around 11. It's 11:27. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
staying later. But we can wait. Somebody started a YouTube channel in 1975. What? Okay, Tim. All right. You got me. Let's see if there's anything I'm missing in the chat. But I think we're going to wrap it up so Jake can get out of here. I can get home, go play a little PlayStation 4 and get to sleep so I can wake up early and edit. I'm basically working on a video. Like I said earlier, what was the title? I had a title in my head. It's something along the lines of, should you even get the Mavic 2 or Mavic Air 2? Is the Mavic Air 2 right for you? Something like that.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. So, but I've got to edit that and get that up before the thing's out on Monday. That's the catch. You got to get these early because on Monday, when that event comes out, all the people like iJustine, iPhonedo, and
that
whoever
have
else,
been out for a month that aren't drone pilots, but they'll.
yeah.
It's such a pet peeve. I'm like, they don't even fly drones regularly, but they get these pre-release copies. Come on.
Yeah. Well, they got big channels, and I got it.
I mean, I got to say, like iPhonedo, he actually does do stuff. He knows his stuff, and he's a good. But some of the other people are just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, iPhonedo makes a killer video, and he's hilarious. So I love. Did you ever see his with the GoPro Karma? The drone video?
I think that was I watched that review probably 3 times just because it was so hilarious. He did such a good job. It just
with the wig on, he's like,
and his whole exactly his whole impersonation was just like it was so spot on. It was so good.
So that's what I hope is like to keep doing this, to meet more people, to do more collaborations with people, and not necessarily to get subscribers. It's great if you get subscribers when you do a collab, but believe it or not, you really don't get that many unless the people know you or you do collab after collab after collab with the same person.
Yeah.
I just personally like seeing how they film differently than me and then watching what they edit out of what they filmed and go, oh, that's interesting.
It is. It's a lot of fun. Like, because I did a collab with 51 Drones, Russ, like way back earlier in the summer. And so he and I were talking about it and we like planned out what we were going to do and stuff like this. And then I ended up having to film mine like 3 times because I filmed it in the wrong frame rate for him. And then I totally missed some stuff. It was a really interesting learning experience. But beyond, like, I didn't really care about trying to get subs or anything. It was just the working with somebody else long distance was that was the funnest thing I think that I've been able to do, is those kind of collaborations, just because you see somebody else, how they approach the whole idea of what the video is going to be about and their thoughts about it. And it's really cool.
Yeah. It's to me, the editing process is half the fun. And my fun videos, even when I sit down to try to make a video that's just instructional, I can't do it. I always put in at least a little bit of editing that makes it more like fun, or at least to me, it's fun. I have a hard time not being artistic with my edits. Occasionally I have less time. So if I don't have time, I'll just sit down. And even this, I mean, you notice I didn't go turn on any cool blue lights behind me today. But, I did take the time to paint all these walls.
Those walls look amazing. I was trying to figure out if they were tiles that you had stuck on the walls because they look like they got depth to them, but
that is all paint.
It's sweet.
And those skateboards, if you see my really early videos, those same skateboards have been hanging up since I started really getting serious about YouTube. And I've just moved them from studio to studio.
From place to place.
There, that brick wall, let me get out of the way. That's actually just like particle board that's brick. And then I took a bunch of mud and slapped it over it and an airbrush and aged it and all that.
Oh, that's awesome. I would never have guessed that. I mean, that's the cool thing about like YouTube. Like you could literally put a piece of painted cardboard behind you and you don't know because you can't touch it, but it looks like something. And
yeah, exactly. And then I have this thing that's surprising to me, this has been hanging on the wall for the longest time, and nobody ever comments on it. It's
The glove.
What's that?
The glove.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw
It's
that
like,
hanging on it. I was like, what the heck, man?
it's real.
It's awesome.
It's metal and real and semi-sharp.
It's pretty sweet.
Actually, next year, I'm not sure which channel that I'm going to do it on yet. Probably if I do the new snowboarding channel, I'll do it on that. I'm going to do, well, the makeup stuff I do. I'm going to sculpt a Freddy Krueger makeup, like spot on to the movie, apply it like it's applied like the movies. So it moves with your face.
Like a latex prosthetic or whatever, which applied prosthetics. Yeah.
And then I'm going to put on my Freddy sweater and all that other stuff, and I'm going to go snowboarding. Now, I didn't do it with this year. I almost did. I ran out of time. But I didn't. At the last minute, I was like, I can't snowboard with this glove. If I fall and do this, I'm dead. Straight dead.
No, that
so
would work.
I did after the fact. After Halloween, I found one that looks pretty real, but it's plastic. So if I fall, it's going to break the blades and not kill me. Because the whole time I was thinking, well, if I die, at least I'll make the front page of the paper. Freddy Krueger dies at Keystone Ski Resort. You know?
Again, that's one of those ones where you want to put on the video that you make. You know, if you find this, please post it to my YouTube channel, because then at least
exactly. But yeah, it surprises me that nobody ever comments, because it's hanging up in so many of my videos, just right there. But yeah,
people are afraid to. They're afraid to comment. They're just afraid.
You know, people don't watch all the videos. Most of the videos people watch, for me, somewhere between 40-45% retention. And then occasionally I get some that are 30%. And once in a blue moon, I get some that are 60% retention, which for those in the chat, that means that people are at 60%. The average person is done watching at that percentage. There's definitely people that watch the whole way, but the majority of people sign off by then. Which sort of sucks, because if you sign off too early, it hurts our videos too. So if you guys are watching and you start watching one of our videos and you don't really like it, hit mute. Just hit mute instead.
Let it play. Just let it play all the way to the end.
All the way to the end. Just hit mute, and you can open a new tab and just let ours finish. And that's incredibly helpful.
It's so true, man. Oh, yeah. Those videos where you're like, that's one of the things I'm hoping I could do this summer. Is I want to do more, especially when I do reviews. I want to do more storytelling of, like, because some of the places I go, they're like places you go. They're just unbelievably epic locations. And so my plan is to go, you know, part of the way and take people along the journey, but then at each kind of spot on the journey, talk about an aspect of whatever I'm working with or reviewing or trying to teach people how to do, so that it has more of a story arc to the whole video. I think it'll be, I think it'll be fun. I hope it will work well and people want to watch the whole video, but we'll find out here pretty soon.
Let me show you, because I do that kind of stuff all the time. So let me show you.
I've actually, I've taken a few things from yours because
Nice.
I watch your edits. Now, you have very different personalities, and your edit style really fits your personality. And I've kind of got my edit style to fit my personality now. But I've watched a few of your storylines, and kind of like, that's why I've watched the videos from that aspect of like following your storyline through. And it's really made me think, like, man, I need to do more of that sort of filming and editing.
Let me show you something before you go real quick. I won't play the whole video because it's 13 minutes long, but we'll play a little bit here at the beginning. And this is interesting, because this is one of those videos that I filmed. How long ago did I film it? Let's see. It was last August. So, and it got a few hundred views, right? And I don't know if you noticed, but I think it was up to 2,000 or 3,000 views now. But all those new views came in the last month since the coronavirus stuff happened. Oh, I just demonetized my video.
That's it. Sorry.
Yeah, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, this video just went viral. I was trying to figure out where it came from. We were trying to figure out if maybe a school was using it to teach about this mine. This is an abandoned mine not far from me. It takes
Right.
about maybe 45 minutes or so to get there, maybe an hour tops. And I brought out the drone, and it was mainly to fly the drone. But I was like, well, I don't want to just put a drone video up of just flying around this mine. Those are boring. No one watches those.
Yeah.
It's true. If you do a video just of 2 minutes of drone stuff, someone still will only watch 30% of it.
Yep.
They don't go very far in it. But if you're doing something based with a story, sharing yourself, sharing your experience, getting there, and then mixing in a couple of minutes drone footage throughout it, they'll watch a lot more of it. So with this, just real quick, I'll show you just a couple seconds of this, and then I'll show you the stats and how it just recently climbed.
We are in the middle of nowhere. It's so gorgeous here. And we just found an old deserted mine.
I remember this video.
With Mavic zoom, with action, and just see what we can make today.
So I'll tell you, walking in that building was sketchy. So, I'll start a video with sort of an idea of either a clip of something that happens, and then I rewind backwards to get to that point, or a little intro and then do something like this. But like if I had just started it out with just this stuff and the whole video was this and drone footage only,
yeah,
you'd be done already.
People wouldn't engage for very long.
And I always forget, that's my Twitter logo.
I'm not going to stop.
Or my Twitter handle.
Oh, nice.
I forget to put that on there. I don't know if people realize that's what it is or not.
Still in here. This is so crazy. Like to think how old this is.
You know what's funny is people love these kind of exploring videos.
Yeah.
Like my son, he will sit, and if I let him, he'll sit and watch hours and hours and hours of, like, I think it's Zach Explorers or something. And
that sounds familiar.
Out than it is going in.
I haven't seen it, but it does sound familiar.
It's just, and it's this kind of stuff, like they're walking into these old abandoned places and just talking about what they're seeing and what they're doing. And it's
there's a lot of these old abandoned mines by me. So this summer I'm thinking of trying to find more of this stuff.
Should you go take your Skydio and explore the inside of the building with it?
Yeah, that would be dope. I wouldn't have done that with the Mavic. I definitely would do that with the Skydio. But flipping back and forth from ground footage to sky footage to talking to back and forth, and it makes a little bit of a story to it,
Yep, it does.
So stop this. I don't want to bore everybody. It's just us exploring a mine. Yeah, it's got up to 2,500. So if we go to the analytics, I'll pull it up real quick and see what we see. It just blew my mind because see the blue spike right there.
Man, that must have gotten shared on Reddit or something.
I found where it was shared. It was some kind of let me see, where do we go to see where that,
like if you go to reach,
there we go,
and then go down, it'll show you where your source, the see more from no, up above.
Oops, come on, go back,
go up just a little more. There you go. External sources.
Yourstate.com is what shared it. So if we go to that, and then I went to that, and I was like, okay, what's going on here?
That's interesting. I had something like that happen with one of my videos where it got shared. It got posted and shared on 4kshooters.net or something like that. It was one of my gimbal comparisons, and it was the same thing. Like it was doing a decent job as a video, and then it got put on that site, and it was just like, whoop, it went way up.
And right here, you can see it. Drone flies above an uninhabited gold mine, and that's where it came from. So you never know. The point is you never know. A dead video, you shouldn't take it down. You never know when it's going to pop back up again and actually be worth something.
Yeah.
That you make any money. Like, you know what? I want to show some people something real quick before we. I'm so bad, dude. I can talk forever. Especially once we start getting into analytics on stuff.
My wife is like, she's always telling me, you're the worst goodbye sayer ever. She's like, you will never actually say goodbye. And be just.
Well, Ed says, I love those places. I wish I could find more around there. Ed, I actually had an entire abandoned town I wanted to bring you and Kelly to, but the conditions and the weather were horrible. So I wasn't able to bring you guys to it. So if you come back in the summer or even in the winter and we don't have that kind of crazy snowstorm like we had, I will totally bring you there, and it would be amazing for your FPV drone stuff. It's sort of like the abandoned town you go to, Jake, except it's a ton of abandoned houses, like tons of them.
Oh, that'd
that
be
have
sweet.
all over them because they're close enough to civilization that people go out and graffiti them and all that kind of stuff.
I think Ed and I fly the same FPV drone body. If he's still flying the Armington Marmot frame, that's what I'm flying.
So let me share this real quick.
Although
You'll get
his
this.
FPV skills are way beyond mine.
Yeah, did you see the video of him flying in the car?
Yes, yes, yes.
So sick.
So it made me so jealous because I had built my FPV drone and then we had a month of well below zero weather and I couldn't fly it at all. And I was just like watching your video of him flying in the car and then watching a bunch of his videos of him like flying around there's one of the office buildings that's got like weird glass angle walls and stuff like that. And I was just like, son of a gun, these people who don't live in Alaska and they can fly their FPV drones all winter long.
Yeah, right.
I was jealous, really jealous.
That's funny. So this is my top videos in the last 28 days. Check out what my #1 video is there, Jake. The 2-minute timer I made for my kid to brush her teeth to. That video,
that's awesome.
It has so many views. Look at this. When I click it,
no.
not 28 days. Let's go to since uploaded, 650,000 views. It's made me $922 over
Dude,
sitting there.
That was the best. That was the best investment of your time, was making a 2-minute Jeopardy countdown timer, I guess.
I've actually joked around about making a channel that's nothing but 2-minute timers.
Well, it's true because like anybody with kids is like, I need a 2-minute timer. The first place they like, watch this, and
it's so cool because I'll get comments on it that basically are saying, "Hey, my teacher has us watch this at school. It's great. I thought it was My Little Teapot or something," and they don't know the song because it's from the Jeopardy, you know. Oh, so then my second one right now this is just for the last 28 days, is what's getting views right now, is that Mavic Air 2, because that's a hot subject right now. And then it drops to the drone spine of the girl in the shower. And if you haven't ever seen that one, Jake, you should check it out sometime. It's hilarious.
No, I've seen that one.
You have?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's 2 versions of it. You see down here, there's the version, the drone spine of the girl in the shower, and what do drones see? And the other one is drones just spying the girl in the shower. And I actually took the clip from the parody clip and put that up separately. There's a parody clip for those who don't know. It's me with a wig on, spying on my girlfriend in the shower in the bushes. I'm hiding in the bushes. But if you look at that one, let's see, this one's got a lot of views. And we go to the last, since the whole time, 712,000 views. But if you notice, it's made less money. It's made $594.
Isn't that funny?
The reason for that is watch time.
Yeah.
People stop watching it right after she throws the towel. Let me see if I can. Where do we go to see that part? Audience retention, right? So we could see more.
Oh, look at that.
And there we go. So right about here it peaks, right? So if we go here and we look at the video and we rewind, let me get this volume down. Notice what happens right at that peak. She takes her towel off and throws it. And that's everybody rewinding, trying to see her boobs.
Yep.
So
I got to say, if you go back to your video channel or video screen there where you were.
This one?
Back from this one. There was the video you did with your step-on bindings.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Like, I'm not a snowboarder, but I love the way you shot that video. Like, just the angles you got, the shots you got, it's one of my favorite videos you've done, just because the way you filmed it is so good.
This is my favorite video I've probably ever made. I have 3 years of footage in this video that I put together.
Really?
I have 3 seasons. I did 3 seasons of using these bindings, and every season, you can see since published, it's made me $451 from the one video.
Yep.
And that since whatever month that was, 90 days, I guess it's been. So 3 months. So those who think we make a lot of money on YouTube, That was 3 years of me filming and probably 2 weeks of me editing to make that video that made me $450. So my point is, the majority of us on YouTube do it because we like making content that helps other people, and we get very, very little return.
Yeah,
cash-wise at least. We get our return, most of us, by the relationships we meet with other people that make videos, the relationships we meet by the people that watch and leave comments. Leaving comments is awesome. And we might not always recognize you from one comment, but if you watch enough videos and you comment enough, it gets ingrained. Most of us do look at those comments, and that's where we get satisfaction, because $451 for 3 years work, you know, it's not a lot of money when you look at it that way.
No, it's not.
But yeah, that video was, I'm really happy with that one. So that was really cool to hear you say that, because I did put a lot of effort into that, and I was so bummed because when I first put it out, it had a little spike and then it was dead. It was just dead. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. 3 years of work and nothing. Nobody watched it. But it actually, if you noticed on that one, let me see.
It picked up somewhere.
It gained me 450 new subscribers too.
Yeah. It looked like it went for a while, and then either it, like, there was a spike in search traffic, or somebody shared it somewhere or something, because it definitely kicked up a lot more views.
Let me see. I can share it again and show you. It actually, it was suggested videos or browse features. One of those two is where it mostly came from.
You got a really good click-through rate on that one too, but your thumbnail's great on it. Oh yeah.
It actually at one point was 12% click-through rate. When it was,
yeah, but then when it starts getting good, then YouTube starts showing it everywhere, so your impressions go way up and your click-through rate goes way down. So you could have like 2 million impressions and a click-through rate of like 1.2%, but it still could be a really good click-through rate.
Yeah,
you know, like, it's so weird looking at the analytics.
It's interesting because browse features is where this one excelled at. I find any video I have over 10% with suggested videos usually gets a lot of views.
Yeah.
And then browse features, if that's high, that's great. I'm actually really surprised the search is so low on this, because that's a pretty highly searched term for those particular bindings.
Right.
But yeah, so if those people in the chat, we might be losing you. I don't know. Maybe this is interesting to you guys, but I could talk about analytics for hours. Oh, look, 35% Reddit. So it got some views from Reddit. And you can see the search terms here. So the analytics of YouTube, it's not about just posting a video and hoping it does well. The majority of us sit there and watch our analytics and try to figure it out, because like I said earlier, YouTube doesn't really they give you a little bit of a helping hand, but they don't tell you exactly how to get your video to be that suggested video. If they did, all of us would figure it out and do it. And then it would just bounce it all back. You know, nobody would excel. But that's my goal, is to my videos, and that's probably why my view count is so high, is I used to get tons of videos showing as suggested videos. I don't know how I did it, but I had lots of them that were suggested. And at that time, they were just one after another getting views, but I wasn't getting a lot of subscribers from them.
Right.
I didn't used to do call to actions and tell people to subscribe or any of that kind of stuff. And I know a lot of people, I'll hear people in chats, oh yeah, tell me to subscribe. Duh, I know that. But it actually works. Like,
it does.
I hate doing it though.
I stopped doing it verbally, but I'll put the little button pop up at the bottom at some point that just like, hey, just a little reminder, subscribe. Because I hate doing it verbally, going like, please subscribe to my channel. It feels like the used car salesman again.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was about to say. I don't like asking people to buy shirts. Maybe that's what I should do with shirts. Is just have like a shirt design float across the screen and say, buy me.
Yeah, or you do some sort of just clever way with a product integration where you're like, you know, you got it wearing like, you could have this hat here if you.
Yeah. Oh damn, we got a lot of chat that I've missed. Let me. Okay.
Yeah, they started making fun of us that we tried to quit several times, haven't been able to stop yet, and then we just ignored them all and forgot they were even here. So
that's hilarious.
I don't know if we should just go on talking to each other and pretending like we're not. We're just on a video chat here. We're no longer live streaming on YouTube.
Sorry, guys. I get carried you get to the analytics, and I nerd the hell out on that stuff. So it's always fun for me whenever I got somebody else that understands them and nerds out too. Like you should have seen Ed and I when Ed was up here. We were like both pulling up our analytics. Look. How does it work? All right, let's see. Justine and Casey were invited to Mr. Beast live stream today, but not Sean Oz and Jake Sloan. Well, they're missing out. That's on them. They're missing out.
There they are. I'm a mean rock, paper, scissors player.
You know what? I grew up playing rock, paper, scissors. I never said rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I've never heard that.
I never said that either.
I think that's something that someone on YouTube started, and it took off sort of the same way that niche and niche works most pronounced, because my whole life I heard it as niche, is that right? And now on YouTube, everyone calls it niche.
Right.
So, and I looked it up, and both ways are actually correct.
Yeah.
The niche way is a newer way for it to be correct.
I think the niche thing came about with YouTube and blogging when all that started really going crazy. I think that's when that came out.
Very popular on a vlog, and they couldn't pronounce it right, and it just stuck.
Yep, exactly.
Let's see. Well, it was Jake Sloan. Did you get to Ed? Did you see Ed's comment?
Yep.
Okay, you've seen that one. So you've been jumping in the chat. That's you're better at it than I am. I just completely forget the chat's there all the time. When I'm by myself, I'm good at it because that's what I'm
right
to the chat.
Yeah, it's much easier to keep track of when it's just you and the chat. You're just kind of bouncing back and forth between there. But you're doing a lot more where you're like trying to find clips and pull stuff in and all that, and then flip between.
That's the thing with OBS. I could have all these clips set up and just sort of scroll through them. Where this, I've got a window. Hell, I can show you guys what my screen looks like. Actually, let's see. That's the cool thing. It does all this, but it does take a second to do it. So my entire screen, and make sure there's no credit card showing. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
So that's all what's on my screen right now.
Holy cow.
So I've got a folder here with all these videos, and I've been like doing new tabs, and then I'll grab one and like drop it into there.
You guys saw some of the footage of the hot.
And I have to pause it real quick and then rewind it and then mute it, come back to here and then go over to this thing and bring up the screen. And I'm doing all that. And that's why I'm missing things in the chat.
Right.
And then I have the actual pop-up chat so that I can see if someone highlights my name. And I try to notice those and skim up a little bit. But then the problem is it doesn't highlight here. So now I have to go back and forth here and try to figure out where the hell that's at, so I can highlight it.
Oh, dang, yeah.
So what I probably am going to do is if I see something over here, just respond to it and not so much try to highlight it, because that's where I really get lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me stop scaring. But there's a lot going on my screen.
Definitely.
So the girl in the shower heading is clickbait. No, actually, Tim, it's not. It's a clickable title because there was a parody of me spying on a girl in the shower. It's completely real, completely true, and not make believe at all. Clickbait would be if I said girl in shower with big boobs, and then it's me kicking it back, having a beer, sitting in a chair, and there's no girl in the video at all. That's clickbait.
Yes.
Huge difference.
Clickbait is a completely misleading thing just to get clicks, where it's not anything in the title or not anything in the actual video.
And Tim is asking if I make most of my money from YouTube on views. Yes, because I never promote merch. I should promote merch, and I should be making more money off of shirt sales and sticker sales and artwork than I do off of YouTube. But as you can see, this month I made $200 and some. Typically, I'm making $150. That's my average month is $150 to $200 that I make on YouTube. That's not much. And I'm pretty open with my money, so there you go. Now, if you want to ask me about my tattoo studio, nope, you don't get to hear about it. Oh, let's see.
Trade secrets.
Yeah. YouTube, I'll share with you because I think every single one of you in this chat could do the same thing that we're doing, and probably grow as big, if not bigger, and make more money if you just put the time in. The tattoo thing, I'm a little more secretive about because that's, it goes 26 years ago. We didn't talk about what we do with tattooing, and that's the way I was brought into it, and that's just the way I do it. Let's see, Steve says it was all all from Steve Sharon. I owe it all to you, Steve. It's all to you. Thank you so much. Steve's a great guy.
Steve's really the grandmaster behind all of this stuff. The reason you and I even have channels is because Steve shares all of our stuff everywhere.
Well, Steve, you need to share it more so I can retire and just do YouTube. Agent K calls us nerds because we're into the analytics of it. I'm not going to deny that. Let's see.
Hey, man, if you want to learn and you want to grow, you got to dig into the analytics and figure out what's going on behind the scenes.
Oh my gosh, I need 2 screens, Steve says. I do need 2 screens. I need more money so I can buy 2 screens. I try not to buy too much stuff unless it's with my YouTube money. So you can see why I don't buy every new drone that comes out, because I'm only making $200 a month. It's pretty hard to buy a new drone all the time. Oh, I have OBS. I have OBS.
No, they were talking about Ken.
Oh, okay. Ken needs OBS
because he's always cursing Wirecast.
Oh, okay. I think Wirecast doesn't have a free version, so or if it does, I've never used it.
They don't. It's a paid version and a highly paid version.
So Coast to Coast says stay in StreamYard, only read the chat there, highlight and answer from StreamYard. That's what I do, but I also miss Bill. I miss things that say hide or show on the side. So I miss those things if I don't keep a pop-up open also. So Tim says, what made you click? Well, that's good. And if you watched it and you got past just the shot of the towel coming out, then you can see the whole video point was a parody of what people used to think we did with drones, which is everyone's a creep and they're in the bushes spying on people in their houses. And then the rest of the video shows you it's bullshit. Nobody's spying on you because you're too damn ugly to be spied on. For the most part. And if you're going to spy on someone, the drone has to be pretty much right outside their window. And it'd be really hard to not notice that. So that's what the video was about. It was when drones first became a big thing 6-7 years ago. I made that video, or however long it was. You could see the date on it. And I made a video because I was so sick of people thinking that's what we were doing with them. And I would go to a park and the dads would come up to me and be like, dude, that thing is so cool. Can I spy on my neighbor in the backyard swimming with it? And that was the first thing that people would say all the time. And it was I'm sitting there taking nature pictures, you know? All right, let's see. Don't open this during the chat. Fuck, you guys got way ahead of me here. We got off on a tangent.
Oh, dude. They went and went and went.
Bill, what are you saying there? The only do it if the guest. I'm not following that, so you'll have to clear that up. But we're gonna probably wrap this up this time for real. Jake is over there. What is Jake doing? What are you doing there, Jake?
I have like 47 text messages. I'm trying to see if the world's on fire, and I didn't know it.
I thought you were over there playing Bubble Pop, man.
I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, because I didn't want to get a bunch of stuff. It's a good thing too, because apparently stuff is happening. It's just a few friends all chatting about something.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Steve's going to retire. I guess that means he's going to sleep. So good night, Steve. We're about to do the same thing. We actually went over an hour.
And then Billy Kyle shows up right now.
Are you kidding? Did he really? Billy, God dang it.
He likes to show up at the last minute.
Yeah, he did that yesterday. I tried to jump in with us. You gonna jump in with us today, Billy, or are we gonna wrap this up without you, and maybe you and Dobo can come on tomorrow night? You tell me real quick before we wrap this up, and I'm glad to have you for just a minute jump in because you're a great guy. All right, and then there's a delay by 20 seconds, and then there's a delay for them to type.
Yep.
Sit and wait. I'm pretty much caught up with everything. I don't think I missed anything.
No, I think most of the chat was them making fun of us nerding out on analytics. So,
hey, that's all right. That's all right.
I'm okay with it. Anyway, hey man, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. You're gonna say goodbye then. All right.
I'm gonna say goodnight. I'm gonna actually say goodbye. Much like
I gotta go home too. I actually meant to leave before midnight. So thanks everyone for coming. I appreciate it, Jake. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, man. We definitely should make plans sooner or later. And if you ever if you experiment with this software and you want to have guests, hit me up. As long as I'm still on the Rona break, I'm glad to join you.
Absolutely. Be fun.
All
So
right, guys. Appreciate it. In the chat, we're going to send off Jake, and then I'll say goodnight separately. Later,
good night,
Jake.
everybody.
Oh, let me make you big so you can. Oh, he already left. All right, guys. So that hopefully was entertaining. Hopefully it was educational, and you learned a little bit about the Skydio 2, and you learned a little bit about some of these GoPros and the Freddy glove and shit, that's sharp and whatnot. I will be back again tomorrow night at 9. I have no idea who's joining me yet tomorrow. So if you do want to join me, hit me up at my email, seanoz.yahoo.com, and let me know who you are and what you want to talk about. And we'll see if we can get a guest with us tomorrow. I think Monday, we're going to have at least Ed Ricker and a couple other people. I'm still trying to get a couple people to join in with Ed and me, and we were hopefully going to be a little earlier on Monday at about 7 p.m. Mountain Time instead of 9. So thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow at 9. Thanks, and have a great night. And I actually think I could end the show with this. Hold on. Let's see. I figured this out today. Boom.